You can't see me. You can't see me.
Big Daddy, how you doing?
You know, it's a solid start to a Friday. Solid start to a Friday when instead of pushing the countdown clock to start the show, I pushed the be right back screen. Haven't started the show. BRB, everybody.
Well, technically it was correct because we were right back after the be right back thing. So, I mean, you know.
Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, children of all ages, welcome in. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. How do you do, upstate North Carolina? Nope, South Carolina. Where the hell are we? I don't know. Listen to me. Listen to me. America, I need you to listen to me. I have done a scientific experiment over the last couple of days. It's been very interesting. That experiment is I have gotten an almost professional and medically suggested amount of sleep. And I have come to the conclusion that I just operate better not on sleep. I just operate better without it. Because yesterday I was dog tired. Today, I just called the state that I live in the wrong state for no good reason. None. I haven't been, like, it would make sense if we had just got done doing a whole segment about Tar Heel basketball or the Carolina Panthers or whatever, then that mistake would have made sense. But we didn't do any of those things. We just opened the show, and I blew it out of the gate.
Did Tepper make you angry already, and you were thinking about North Carolina?
I haven't even heard from Dave Tepper in freaking days. In a week and a half, we haven't heard from Dave Tepper.
Silence is beautiful, by the way.
Yeah, you're doing a great job, Dave. Doing a great job, Dave. Keep it up, big dog. Howdy, y'all. Welcome in. Great to have you. Hope everybody's well. Hope your Friday is off to a spectacular start. If you're up this early, it's not. But, you know, we trudged through. Champions rise to the occasion.
I'm having a great time so far.
No, you're not. You hit a bunny on the way home. You got a stick under your car. You're not having a great day.
But you don't understand. I survived, and I'm here. The herded deer was the scarier part.
Are you one of those, I'm alive, so every day's a great day, guys?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
The worst, man.
Why?
The worst. Because some days are crap days.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's okay to say.
Would you prefer to be dead?
A crap day.
Would you prefer to be dead?
No, but that doesn't mean that you can't. Like, some days suck.
Some days do.
You're
right.
Go.
You're right. But even on the suckiest days, there are things that you can find that might make you smile, that might make you go, yeah, I'm glad I'm still here.
I mean, I'm not saying
like Rob's Killer Carolina hockey jersey. I mean, that thing is sweet. It's got his name on the back of it.
Let me be clear. Let me be clear, because somebody came at me, dog. They were like, Rob, you're wearing a Carolina jersey. Let me make this very clear. I will wear any jersey gifted to me that has my name on it. I am, and can you say attention W word on the air? I don't know if that word's appropriate in this case. I mean, the word is appropriate. I don't know if we're allowed to say it.
Attention world?
No, okay. All right. Bless your heart.
I don't know.
Attention who are.
Really? Why would you want to say that
Because that's what I am right now.
Oh, you're saying you are
I'm saying I am one because I will wear any jersey. That's not true. Okay. Let me add some caveats.
I was gonna say, because I could come up with some that
I'm not wearing a Falcons jersey with my name on it. I'm not wearing a Cowboys name with my name jersey with my name on it. But if there's a reason, if I go anywhere else, right? You take me to Seattle and somebody hooks me up with a Seahawks jersey with Rob Brown 3 on the back of it.
I'm trying to think of another word. Propaganda prostitute. That doesn't work. But I think
but I like it. I actually do like that.
I think I'm on the right.
Propaganda prostitute. I like that.
There's some radio shows that could be considered that. Not this one, of course.
I will simply say no one has yet, because I will wear it, no one has yet gifted me a Clemson hockey jersey with my name on it.
Please don't do
Somebody
that.
gifts
Please
me a
don't
Clemson
do
jersey.
they
with
have
my
a
name.
hockey team?
They do.
Do they? Are they any
Literally,
good?
last weekend, they played Carolina's hockey team at the Well.
Who won?
Carolina did
I was
again.
gonna say,
They're very good at hockey.
I asked if, yeah.
The Gamecocks have put together a
I
hockey
didn't know
program.
that farmers knew how to skate.
They sure do.
Wow.
And they play, for the record, I did not get to attend because I had my nationally syndicated gambling show on Saturday. And unfortunately, the times just didn't line up. I could not get out of my show in time to get there. Last year, Clemson got wrecked in the Palmetto Bowl of hockey. This year, I think it was a 2-point game. When it was all said and done, they put on a show.
Yeah, but in hockey, that's a lot, right? 2?
It's like losing by 10 in football.
Right.
Like,
yeah, it's still a lot.
And then there's the context of the game. You get
what's the average score
goal.
in hockey? Oh, I know in pro hockey it's probably less than it is in college. You probably score more in college, right?
Yes. It's the antithesis of college basketball. So anyway, point here is any jersey with my name on the back of it, I will wear it because the name on the back of the jersey is more important than the name on the front.
All right, so I'm not buying all this entirely because I think color has something to do with it because even your Dungeons and Dragons hockey jersey is red.
By the way,
I just want to point out it's also red. It's some kind of red.
Well, 2 things. Number 1, this isn't red. It's garnet.
Which is a form of red.
No, it's garnet.
It's a form of red. Garnet. How do you make it? You got to make it with red, right? Red and what?
Yeah, and then you mix it with something else and it becomes something new.
So it becomes a different grade of red.
All right, so if I hand you a Jack and Coke and go, this is Coke,
really?
Then you're going to say no to that,
really?
aren't you?
Yeah, anything with alcohol, I'm going to say no.
Right, but the point is...
The analogy doesn't work.
What are you talking about? It works perfectly.
It does not work.
You said garnet is a type of red because it's made from red. Okay, then Jack and Coke is a type of Coke because it's made from Coke.
It's a type of red.
It's a flawless analogy. That's all I do.
Just like teal is a type of blue.
I don't know if you guys saw this yesterday. Some of you did because about 7 of you sent it to me on Twitter. But after my outburst yesterday about the Mike Tyson, Jake Paul.
Well, look at this. When I start typing it, is garnet a shade of red? Other people have asked that same question.
Okay. People also ask if the world's flat. Doesn't mean it is. It's garnet. It's not red. It's a different thing.
This might have similar things to do with what he's about to talk about.
We got off the show yesterday after my alleged, and I was told this, I was told this by someone who holds a bit of sway over me and my job, that my take on the Mike Tyson situation with Jake Paul was, and I quote, a little too much, end quote. They brought me here to the morning drive along with the great one, Lonzo, because we are just balls of energy in the AM. Zach showed up and said, Rob, why are we already yelling at 6 a.m? Because they pay me to, dog. Okay. So we show up. We went on this, we'll say discussion yesterday.
That's what you want to call it?
We'll say discussion.
Okay. That was, yeah, it was more than a discussion. That was you being, when the adrenaline went away, I witnessed it in the office. His shoulders just suddenly went down and he just leaned back and he was done. So, that's how you know that you were way too into it.
I was hyped. I'm not going to lie. I was fired up. That's because I have a burning passion in my heart for sport.
He's a boxing snob. That's what you are. You're an elitist of boxing because of Roy Jones. It's all Roy's fault.
I'm an elitist of boxing because it's a beautiful sport and it deserves better than the Paul brothers.
It's a dying sport that has been saved to some degree by the Paul brothers. You're not going to get angry again already, are you?
Nope.
It's like almost 6:10. You'll burn out before 8:30. Don't do that.
First off, I've never burned out on a show in my life. Second off, we got off the air after my, and I quote, a little too much take on Mike Tyson, because I don't know if you know this, he's 57.
I've heard that multiple times yesterday.
I got off the show after we did a boxing segment where the whole takeaway that I needed all of you to understand is that he's 57. I get to the office, the fortress of nerditude, and not an hour and a half later, I get a couple of Twitter notifications that different listeners and friends have attached my name to something on Twitter. So I go, I click it, I open them. And what do I come across but the fact that not nary an hour and a half after the show came to its stellar conclusion yesterday that trending on Twitter, now known as X, was he's 57. Just he's 57 was trending on Twitter. I want you all to know it is with no small feeling of responsibility that I accept the title of global influencer.
Wow. So you did this. Way to go, you. Way to go. And it's not even that controversial. I mean, way to go.
What I would like to say here is there were two reasons that he's 57 was trending. Number one is because I acknowledge a small subset of people like myself going, again, box a boxer.
Elitist.
Box a boxer.
Yeah.
No. Box a boxer.
Which he's going to do.
Okay? Box a boxer.
Yeah.
Box a boxer. And then
how about box the boxer? When people who don't know boxing still know this guy's name, he is synonymous with
yes,
being a killer inside the ring.
So he's 57. There was a small subset of us that were tweeting that, again, box a boxer. And then there was a much larger subset of the people that had Mike Tyson / he's 57 trending because a training video of Mike Tyson started making its way around the Introsphere.
Is that the same one that I sent you yesterday?
It is.
Okay. All right.
It is.
Yeah.
A training video of, again, noted 57-year-old Mike Tyson started making its way around the internet. In fact, RG3 shared it. In fact, what the heck? I'll throw it up on the stream at facebook.com.
Make sure it's muted because
it is.
Okay.
Because I am a broadcast professional.
I know, but it's early and you might,
not be a broadcast professional.
You had trouble figuring out how to turn the mic on earlier. So
that's very fair. Yeah. If you go to facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, search The Fan Upstate or The Rob Brown Show on YouTube or The Rob Brown Show on Twitch, you're about to get to watch this video with us. This is 57-year-old Iron Mike Tyson. And let me just say that I wouldn't fight this dude, all right? I wouldn't fight this dude. Certified. He, in the opening clip, I don't know if you catch it right there, Zoe, but on this clip, pow, he hits old boy in the face. Like, he's sparring with a guy who's wearing a bodysuit, right? It's a big, thick, heavy pad that basically turns a person into a boxing heavy bag, right? So that way you can throw punches at somebody that you are sparring with.
And you get an idea of movement and things like that, and exactly where a human
where you're going to hit a guy.
Yeah.
Right? So he's going through this. And as he's going through, and ordinarily in a sparring session like this, what you're doing is you build a sequence of punches with the trainer, and you're throwing that sequence because what you're looking for is in the fight. You're looking for the moment where that guy's hand comes up. You can get that sequence in there, and then pow, pow, pow. You can hit him with 3 or 4 that your body is doing. It's like shooting a free throw out of muscle memory, and I think it just clicks for Mike because in the opening clip of the clip that we're playing, he catches his sparring trainer on the right cheek with a blow. And first off, I don't know who this trainer is, but good on him for not going to sleep for a couple of decades because Mike is throwing hands.
Yeah, it also looks, if you watch the sparring partner, he hits Mike on top of the head. And then afterwards, I think he got a receipt. I think that's what happened.
I will go with so in the sequence, what a trainer who's helping you get these sequences down is doing is he's got his own sequence too. He's going to throw hands that you got to duck under. It's the old bob and weave. You don't want to get tapped up. And that's kind of part of it, is seeing and getting your body used to seeing, all right, I see that hand go this way. He's probably coming with a cross. I need to get under it. And then when I come out from underneath it, I'm coming with the hook, whatever the sequence might be. I don't know. I don't care. Mike puts a glove on this guy's right chin. And even though it's a full speed move, you can see the head turn. I mean, he gets him. I'm just saying, Mike Tyson is an absolutely scary son of a, and that's just all there is to it. And I don't know if you know this, he's 57.
Yeah, I do know he's 2 years older than me. Man, I wish I could move like that. Right now, I'd be good with moving
Bro,
like that.
He is 20 years older than me, and I wish I could move like that. Unbelievable.
I just want to point out what I said yesterday. He could make Jake Paul quit boxing.
Look, I hope
if he hits, he doesn't have to knock him out. He could hit him so hard in the stomach or maybe even in the arm where Jake just starts crying and says, why am I doing this? I'm out.
I hope he does. Listen, the greatest pound-for-pound fighter of all time is Roy Jones Jr. That's not just because I worked for him. That's genuinely true. My man won championships in like 6 different weight classes, and he beat everybody, everything from cruiserweight to heavyweight. He was an undisputed consensus champion. He is the best pound-for-pound fighter of all time. Pound for pound, because he fought at all the pounds, right? Now, I'm not saying that he would definitely be the GOAT, but I'm saying pound for pound, he's the best of all time. If Mike spins Jake's head around like that chick in The Exorcist, I might go ahead and just give Mike the GOAT title at that point, because I'll never have to hear from Jake Paul again. And I'm totally on board with that. I'm totally fine with that. And yes, before anybody goes, he beat you. Yes, I know. Both of these men would murder me. I know that. You know that. We all know that. Doesn't change what it is. 57. Iron Mike's out here throwing hands like he's 25. Unbelievable. If you haven't seen that video, go to Twitter or just go back in time on this stream and you can see it.
So from all this, have you changed your mind? I mean,
no, he's 50. Okay, I'm not doing this again.
Okay, because
it's too early to get worked up.
It seemed pretty positive, everything you were just doing.
He looks great.
Yeah, I mean,
he looks great. He looks unbelievable. I hope at 57, I can get to a point where I stop waking up because my neck hurts after a night of sleep. You know what I mean? And this dude's out here throwing blows that would put most average men to bed for good. I hope at 57, I can get out of bed without having to ask my fiance to stretch my arm so that it unlocks because I slept on the wrong side of the body.
That sounds like that really happened.
It sucks. All right? It did. It does. It sucks. The first part of it, I've started showering in the morning. I don't want to. I want to shower at night. I've started showering in the morning because I need the hot water to limber me up.
I am so tempted to clip that. I started showering in the morning. Good. I noticed a difference in the room. Yeah,
well, that's why I haven't worn a hat in 2 days. Because the hair is fresh and clean. All right, we got a show to do. We got a lot of stuff we want to get to on the radio broadcast today. Hatin Ass Mario going to join us at 8 p.m. today to talk NBA basketball. Looking forward to that. Karl Anthony Towns going to have surgery to deal with a meniscus issue. The Wolves are currently the top seed in the Western Conference, but they have just gone down an all-star at the same time that the Timberwolves lose not a guy, lose the guy. Would you look at this? The Denver Nuggets got a win over the NBA's, air quotes, best team, the Boston Celtics, ground one out over Beantown last night. So,
hey, how about those Golden State Warriors after you were all excited that they were back?
Yeah, that was that aged real poorly. That take didn't make it out of Thursday. Like ordinarily I make that take and a take like that lasts a couple of weeks before you either get proven prophetic or a clown. Normally you get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days where you're like, see how big smart boy I was with that pick. That pick didn't make it 7 hours. That's pretty rough. And Steph got hurt. On top of all of to add insult to injury. I said yesterday, I was like, maybe the Dubs are back. It's run time. They got it handed to him last night and Steph limped off the court. Not great, Bob. So we'll talk about that later on in the show. Like I said, Hatin Ass Mario at 8 o'clock to talk basketball with us. NFL's top 25 free agents. Yahoo Sports put together a list of the top 25. It's actually down to 23 now. Available free agents in the NFL. I'm going to ask, which of those, if you are the Cats, are you going after? Which of those, if you are the Carolina Panthers, are you making a play on? I've got about 5 that I want to see a contract offer thrown at. And I'll tell you who they are coming up later on in the radio show. And outside of that, I'm not going to lie to you, kids. It's Friday. I demand your participation in the radio broadcast today. 844-326-3663. That is the number for the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone. 844-326-3663. You may text us on the text line at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N. We'll read them on the air. And, of course, tweet X post us at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo on Word, at The Fan Upstate. We're trying to do a break. I got to tell you, whatever y'all want to talk about goes today. We're a listener show today. What do you want to talk about? So, Greenville, what do you want? All right, whatever. Rob and Lonzo and you, The Rob Brown Show rolls on after this break. It is The Fan Upstate.
The heck
Hello,
is
Jeffrey Scott Miller and
is
Michael
wrong,
Vincent Paul Kicklish.
wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
So many
Listen,
things.
listener. I mean, no, stop that. Although a listener day would just be a wrestling day, so I guess that's okay.
You might not know this, but the Ingles Bakery is actually a bakery. As in, we bake things, really delicious things. Things like crusty bread, just waiting for that scrumptious strawberry jam. Apple fritters to pair perfectly with that morning cup of coffee. Cakes for any occasion, customized to your precise standards. And if we mention cookies,
You know what? We can talk some wrestling later in the show. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is outside of the NBA, unless you guys want to get into some spring training. Now that we have gotten past the combine, we're at kind of we're in a quiet week and a half of the sports calendar until the conference basketball tournaments start up next week.
No, Zach, I haven't got 2K24. I need to send a message to a guy that I know.
I got a guy.
Because maybe I can get it without having to purchase it, which is the best way. Legally, is the best way to do it.
Chumba. These people have gotten so much free advertising on this show. Yesterday, I tried to, well, I didn't have to try to convince Rashad Beard of anything because Rashad Beard knows ball and he agreed with me when I said it. I have made the argument that the Carolina Panthers are going to have to roster build, and they're going to have to go about it in a very specific way. The reality of this free agency list available across the NFL is that the wide receiver group is thin right now. Now, there is something that we all have to pay attention to, and that is March 13th, just a few days away. Next week, I was telling the folks on the stream, we're in kind of a this week through next Thursday is kind of a calm before the storm moment in sports. Like right now, you've got college basketball, and obviously there's some really, really good conference crown races coming down the pipe. But as is the case, most of your conferences have already been decided for the regular season. Most of the games to end the year are really going to be about teams trying to settle down before they get to the conference tournaments. You have got the first round of most of these conference tournaments starting up next Tuesday or Wednesday. And because of that, the rest of this week, this weekend, through next Tuesday, with all due respect to with the exception of the women's conference tournaments, which we're going to start about because the SEC women's tournament happening right here in GVL. Yeah. And I want to get to that very briefly because the Gamecocks of South Carolina, under the illustrious Don Staley, get their start today at noon. Robbie B getting up out of here at 10 a.m., going to go home and let the dog out. Then it's downtown to the well to go watch the Carolina Gamecock lady basketball team under Don Staley. By the way, I thought this was really cool while I have just 7 seconds. Don Staley and her Gamecocks stayed one extra day in Columbia. They could have gotten here a day earlier to start prep. They stayed an extra day to be courtside when Lamont Paris and the fellas took on Tennessee. Dude, it is cool to see that level of support between those two teams, right? I say this, and I know it is an insult to a lot of y'all. It is the highest level of compliment from yours truly. South Carolina is well on its way to becoming a basketball school. That's a good thing. Don't let anybody tell you separate. Anyway, we're in a spot right now where we've got 3 or 4 days where the sports world's going to be a little quiet. And because of that, it's really a good time, I think, to take a look at some of the more speculative and future elements of franchises, teams, players, coaches, whatever. And I'm going to, in this case, start with this one. I'm going to start with the Carolina Panthers roster construction. And in that, I presented to Rashad Beard yesterday my off-season plan for how to make that happen. This team is going to be obligated to, in my opinion, this team is going to be obligated to building the wide receivers room through the draft and building the offensive line through a free agency. So then I thought, all right, let me go look at the free agent list. And let's see if we can pick out anybody that fits, that jumps off the page. Across the offensive line, there is not a ton, but there's not nothing either. You've got Kevin Dotson, except for, and this is why I'm a little concerned. Kevin Dotson was on the table. Kevin Dotson agreed to a 3-year, $48 million deal with the Rams. He was, in my opinion, The best offensive lineman that would have been available for Carolina, they did not jump. Now, I know there's a lot going on. The draft is around the corner. Obviously, we're waiting to see kind of what the market looks like for different teams and for different positions. But I'm at a spot now where if this team wants me to truly believe that they have turned a corner, that they are on their way to reaching that next level that they have not reached since a long time ago, do we not want to see this team being aggressive right now? Like, you've got the cap room to play with, okay? I know you needed to get the Brian Burns deal settled. I understand. But I wish we were seeing this team be more aggressive in terms of picking guys up. Now, I want to have as much of the roster settled by draft day as I can, specifically across the offensive line. The fewer offensive linemen that I have to draft in a couple of weeks, the better. The less questions there are about what I think is one of the only two position units that it is mandatory to upgrade if you are Carolina. That is the offensive line and the wide receiver room. The offensive line, there are names out there, and there are still names out there. Tyron Smith out of Dallas, a phenomenal performer. Now, a rash of injuries throughout this guy's career. Played in 13 games last season. Durability is a concern. New England Patriots offensive tackle Trent Brown is out there. This dude is he's a tank who wears a helmet. He is available right now.
Is he older than the guys that are on the team right now?
Most of these cats are.
And it would appear that they're trying to go younger everywhere, which is we're not going to win now. We're looking to win in the future, build things through the draft, which we've seen done before, and it takes a couple of years to do. So maybe they plan on picking up linemen and receivers in the draft, and they're not worried about free agency.
My only issue with that is I do not think you have the capital.
It's cheaper to go through the draft, isn't it?
I mean, financially, yes. But you start to get to the point where I ask the question, and I know that this is the spot where our dramatically roads diverge. To me, regardless of what you do at any other position anywhere else on the football field, if you don't do something to make sure that Bryce Young doesn't get broken, and I mean that both mentally and physically, if you don't do something to make sure that cat doesn't get broken, it doesn't matter if you draft like the greatest drafters in the history of drafting. If you don't make sure this cat makes it out of next season healthy and mentally composed, then it doesn't matter who you draft. I understand, and I agree with you. The goal is to get younger. The goal is to build a core, a foundation. The goal is to put together a group of guys that you know is going to be together for a couple of years, including across the offensive line. I'm great with that. The problem here is with the draft capital that you have, I don't think you can address both of those rooms in this draft. You cannot address both of them. You've got to pick one. And considering you're not picking until 33, considering the wide receiver room is the deepest wide receiver room of, I don't know, a very long time, I would feel better about a guy that in other years would probably be drafted around 15, 16, 17, falling down to 33, because the list of teams that are going to draft receiver is not extensive, and the list of receivers is. I would rather go youth and get some guys that can develop as receivers alongside Bryce Young entering his rookie year and build a veteran wall of guys out front of Bryce Young to keep him upright and not broken while he develops that chemistry. Then next year, because we agree, this team ain't winning anything this year, next season, the 2025 season, Then in that draft, I'll have a quarterback that's healthy, fingers crossed. I'll have a wide receiver group that built a year of chemistry with him organically. And now I go get my new foundation of young offensive linemen to pair up with that. Now I'm cooking a little bit.
Nah, because you won't make it the next year. I would go lineman first. Who's the best tackle out there that they could get at the first pick in the second round?
That's the other problem.
Because if there's a really good tackle, you get that tackle, you move Icky into guard. There, you've got some youth. He will play better at guard. Although if you're going to a running offense, he plays pretty good in a running offense. But still, if you're thinking about moving him inside, because you're not going to get rid of him, and we have seen him play well, and then last season happened. The sophomore slump is a real thing for him. You move him into guard. You get a decent tackle in the draft. Move that guy out there. You keep a couple of the guys that you have now. And you worry about the offensive line first. I would get a lineman first. My very first pick would be a tackle if there's a really good tackle out there at the first pick in second round, right?
First pick in second round, 33.
Yeah. So I would go a tackle first.
See,
because if you shore up the offensive line with some young guys that can gel early, I would rather have veteran wide receivers right now and have a young offensive line.
I would not hate that, except for there ain't none of those. There's going to be one guy on March 13th that I have my eyes on. T. Higgins is off the board now. We know that. Michael Pittman Jr. is off the board now. We know that. There are none. The only guy at that position, as of right now, that I am aware of, because the other thing is you can wait till March 13th. The league new year rolls over. Some guys are going to get released. Some guys are going to become free agents at that spot. The only guy that, and I'm not saying this isn't going to change in the next week, but the only guy I'm aware of at that position that is going to be available on that day that I say is an upgrade, and even that some of y'all are going to push back, is Michael Thomas, that New Orleans told yesterday they're going to not – he was on a one-year deal. They're not going to renegotiate, so Mike Thomas will be a free agent next week. He is the only guy that I am aware of at the wide receiver position that – and for the record, I know some of you are going to push back because Mike Thomas has got injury history and there's a little drama with him off the field and all that. I understand – Mike Thomas is still better than any wide receiver on this Carolina roster. So you've got Marquise Hollywood Brown. You've got Calvin Ridley. You've got Mike Thomas. You've got, honestly, that's pretty much the list of guys that are upgrades.
You have touted this being the best wide receiver draft in a long time. They've got 6 picks. My first pick, I'm going lineman. My second pick, I'm going receiver. Then I'm picking up another lineman. And then the rest of the way, get receivers. I mean, if the draft is as deep at receiver as you say, you can pick up some guys, you can pick up some steals in the third and fourth round that at least are faster and younger than the guys that you have right now.
Well, anybody's going to be younger than Adam Thielen, and that's with all due respect. But again, I'm fine with young and speed because I'm begging to be able to move Adam Thielen back to the slot. We saw what he can do last year. He can still go, but I need him in the slot. I don't need him out
He's
there.
He's also open a lot, and if someone has time to find him, that would be better. So lineman, got to go lineman.
All right, what do you guys think? Lonzo's saying they need to lean on the lineman. I'm looking at a wide receiver class that could see guys like Troy Franklin out of Oregon, Adonai Mitchell out of Texas, Ladd McConkey out of Georgia, Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU, Roman Wilson from Michigan, Ricky Pearsall from Florida, Janae Burton. I'll give you the name that I'm really interested in. I'll give you the name that I think could very well be available, shockingly, at 33, because I honestly think in most years this guy's off the board before 33. Keon Coleman out of Florida State. That's a cat who goes 6'4", 215, and is going to put up a 4.3, 240-ish, somewhere in that ballpark. Jalen Polk out of Washington. Everybody's focused on Rome Odunze, for sure. Rome Odunze was that offense through the air last year, partially because Jalen Polk was able to get him open. Guess who showed up to the combine and made a little noise for himself and would allow the Carolina Panthers to put a narrative about themselves to bed? How about Carolina at 33 going with an X factor and bringing in Xavier Legette? I actually like that. I think in the first round, this team is almost obligated to go wide receiver.
Second round.
The problem is once you get to the second round.
No, their first pick is in the second.
Oh, sorry.
round.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. With their first pick, once you get down to the second round, you start seeing names like Jamari Thrash out of Louisville, Brennan Rice out of South Carolina, Malachi Corley out of Western Kentucky. There's going to be a playmaker available at 33. Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be off the board. Malik Neighbor is going to be off the board. Roma Dunze is going to be off the board. Brian Thomas Jr. could fall that far. That's a 6'4", 205-pounder with speed on the outside. Ladd McConkey, who only goes 6 foot 185, but ask the Florida fans about what Ladd McConkey can do if he finds a seam. The only problem I have
Seen
with
a bunch
him,
of Panther fans really want Ladd.
I don't, and I'll tell you why. Because Ladd McConkey is just a new age Adam Thielen. And I say that with great compliments because Thielen's a dude. The problem is I've already got my slot. I don't need a slot receiver. And that's where Adonai Mitchell from Texas comes in. 6'4", 196 pounds, red zone killer. That's a dude I'm interested in. Troy Franklin, 6'3", 187 out of Oregon, is as smooth of a route runner as you're going to find in this draft. Roman Wilson. In other years, Roman Wilson is not ranked 49th on the board. He's 35th. He's 34th. Dude is fast. He's fast. Only 6 foot 192. He can play an outside wide receiver. He's quicker than Ladd McConkey. For what Carolina needs, this would be a need over ranking draft pick. I feel the same way about Ricky Pearsall. Real good player. I still want somebody bigger. Keon Coleman, 6'4". Jalen Polk, 6'2". Xavier Legette, 6'3". Xavier Worthy at 6'1", out of Texas. That's a dude that could be there. Tez Walker out of North Carolina. I'll give you one more name. And I think this guy is going to be on the board probably, likely, maybe, possibly at 65 when Carolina picks their second pick. But I'll tell you who I'd fall over backwards for Carolina to go get because I think he would fit in. And I know some of you are going to say too comparable to the young man out of LSU that the Carolina Panthers drafted a couple of years ago and it never worked out. The 6'7", 237 pound Johnny Wilson out of Florida State. You're giving me a 6'7", 230-pounder that can run the fly route? Tell me, Bryce. Worst case scenario, hey, Bryce, if you get in trouble, fall back on the old Johnny Wilson's down there somewhere route.
You might be able to see him with him being that tall,
he's
too.
6'7".
Yeah, possibly.
I went from he's 57 to he's 6'7". All right. Jamari Thrash out of Louisville is another guy that I really like, too. All right, so just some thoughts. My thought, Carolina's got to build the wide receiver room. Lonzo's thought, 33's got to be an offensive tackle. Where do you fall on this? 71307 is the number. Text to start that text with FAN. We'll read them on the air. Can also shoot us a call on the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone, 844-326-3663. Back after this to wrap up hour one on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Good morning, everyone. Zach and Paul and Tracy, and who else is up in here? Wesley, happy Friday, my guy. Give me 30 seconds. We will return ever so briefly. All right, it was 45 seconds, but thanks for hanging in there, guys.
Should I send an email to engineering telling them there's a branch caught under my car and ask if they can come and find it? Performance. 100% of the people in the poll say offensive line.
100%.
Yes.
Stop the count.
I was the first person to vote. So, yeah.
Wrapping up hour number one. Text line open 71307. Texter says, Rob, linemen take more time to develop, and wide receivers are more prepared to come in and be ready now. I'd take a receiver first and a veteran lineman. Let me go get the second half of that text because it broke up. But he said I'd take an offense, or I'd take a wide receiver early and then take an offensive lineman down the line. That's what I would do as well.
Hey, look how fast that wide receiver went down for that post. Oh, look, Bryce Young's getting up off the ground.
No, see, you're ignoring the point that I've said. Go get a couple of these vet.
No, I know what you're saying.
It's going to cost you more, but keeping Bryce Young, alive would be financially worth it.
I am interested to see what Dan Morgan does, because if he gets guys that are like him, it's going to be fun.
I am interested in seeing what he's doing too. But of course, as he is a huge fan and listens to the show daily, we have input in this. That's why we're doing
Yeah,
this.
You got to go offensive line. You got to go young offensive line, so you can let that thing gel. Those other offensive linemen who've been let go by other teams, some of them, it's not about money. It's about they're pretty much done with their career, probably.
Yes, and also some of them it's about money. Outside of the kid out of Dallas, who is an injury machine, and I will acknowledge, yes, given my options there, I would probably rather draft an offensive lineman than go with a guy who hasn't played a full season since 2015. But there are other names out there. What's this kid? The guard out of New England is available. Owanwu. That's a money pick. You put him at guard. You let him be a veteran presence. You keep Icky out at left tackle. The only thing I have heard so far is that Carolina is looking for either competition for or a replacement of Bradley Bozeman in the middle. That's the only smoke I've gotten so far. Which, by the way, Bradley Bozeman, one of those dudes that I love him as a dude, but dude, it's a business, man. It's a job.
And the biggest domes in the business. You can see him all the way across the field with his helmet off. It's a big head.
Texter says, Rob, how did you say you prepared your chicken? It's a random question, Texter, but I like it. I'm an air fryer guy, and right now, because I am trying to lose weight, I am going with Mrs. Dash sodium-free seasoning. It's got a little pop to it. I like it. And then I have I forget the name of it, but I found a sugar-free barbecue sauce. No, it's not the best barbecue sauce you've ever had, but it's sugar-free, and I got to go in that direction. Or
how well does that
pop it with some
stick?
Frank's hot sauce.
Because I thought the sugar is kind of what makes the sauce stick.
It's not like a thick, hearty barbecue sauce like you want, but it's good enough. It works. It's one of those things that you go, for a fat guy trying to be less of a fat guy, this is pretty good. Pretty good. The fact that I always quested for the best BBQ sauce is the reason that I'm eating sugar-free barbecue sauce right now. So it's pretty good for what it is. The other option that I found right now that works out pretty well for me is just hit it with either some Frank's or some Tabasco, depending on what I'm in the mood for. But air fryer all the way, man. I'm doing chicken breast tenderloin. So there, it's about a third of a chicken breast flattened out. 3 of those, air fry it for 5 minutes, season it, air fry it for 5 minutes, flip it over, air fry it for 4 minutes. Comes out perfect. Every time. By the way, 11 pounds now. Thank you very much. None of you care. I care. I care. I don't know why you decided to ask me about my chicken preparation schedule, but why not? I'll answer. Texture said, Rob, Panthers need Xavier Legette on their list. Xavier Legette is absolutely on my list at 33. Absolutely on my list at 33. There are probably 2 or 3 other guys that I want more at that spot, but he's on that list depending on how the draft shakes out. Obviously, guys like Roma Dunze are higher on the list, but on the guys that are realistically going to be available at 33, he's absolutely one of them and one I'm keeping an eye on. And I think he fits in, too. I think he fits in. I think he's kind of that tweener between a 1 and a 2, between an X and a Y. But the problem you have in Carolina is not that you don't have guys. You have guys. The problem is you're missing the most important part in that wide receiver room, pardon me. The most important part being a bona fide one. And this is going to be the one thing that I think would keep Carolina from going with Xavier Legette. I don't know at the NFL level that he's a bona fide one right now. And if you don't end up with a bona fide one, you're going to end up in the same position that you were in last season, which is you can't utilize Adam Thielen to the best of his talent, which is playing out of the slot. A guy like a TMJ is not a threat down the football field because there's not a number one guy pulling defenses away from him. And if you don't have that, the other guys on the field aren't going to be able to do what they do, as lazy as that might sound. All right, so I put it up on the Twitter poll. You have just been hired to be Dan Morgan's assistant GM for the Carolina Panthers. He's asked for your input on the Panthers' number 33 pick. Are you having them go wide receiver or offensive lineman? Put that poll up about 5 minutes ago. We got 7 votes out of the gate, and so far, offensive lineman is the pick of the general public. 71% of the 7 votes we have so far say OL. So go to twitter.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, and log your vote right now. We will keep an eye on that poll throughout the rest of the show. Before we get to the rest of the show, we, like the Panthers need a wide receiver, need this sports flash from Lonzo.
Hey, I got you covered. I'm here for your needs. The SEC Women's Tournament is taking place at the Bon Secours Wellness Arena. Yesterday, Texas A&M knocked off Mississippi State 72-56. Kentucky fell to Tennessee 76-62. Auburn knocked off Arkansas 67-48. And Florida put down Vanderbilt 62-59. South Carolina makes their tournament debut today at noon against A&M, with Alabama versus Tennessee, LSU versus Auburn, and Ole Miss versus Florida following. Falcons fans are paying very close attention to the quarterback market. A week ago, Justin Fields was the odds-on favorite to be Atlanta's new quarterback, but last night, BetOnline.com issued new odds listing Fields as a 3-1 favorite to be in Minnesota. Tune in tomorrow night at 8 p.m. as the Furman men's basketball team takes on Western Carolina in the first round of the Southern Conference Tournament right here on the Fan Upstate.
No worries, John. Glad to answer. Air fryer is a cheat code in the kitchen, man. It's the best. Lady friend and I picked up the air fryer, and it has been the best thing we own.
I agree. I use my air fryer more than my microwave.
I air fry everything. To the point that cold pizza, air fryer.
Oh, definitely. Even cold nuggets.
Yes, everything.
If say you get a 20-piece McNugget and you only eat half of it, the next day you can put it in there and it tastes like it just came out.
Yep.
It's good. Smith and James, the first break.
10-4. And away we go, ladies and gentlemen, with our number 2 of the Rob Brown Radio broadcast. Rob and Lonzo with you on I hope it turns out to be, lovely Friday morning. It is Friday. You know we like to get a little weird on a Friday, have a little fun on. It's Friday. Why would we not? John said, thanks, Rob. I asked because I'm a little fat myself. Fat bearded guys of America, stand up, represent.
We use sturdy around here.
That's what we do.
That's what we do.
We have got a lot more stuff that we need to get into on the radio broadcast today. We have got to get into, in my ever so humble opinion, a little bit more NFL free agency. We got to talk some National Basketball Association, which, by the way, we will do coming up later in the show because the Hatin Ass one himself, Mario, will be joining us to break down some NBA conversation. Looking forward to that. Always do. We've got to get into some of the world of soccer, as the United States women's national team is on to the W Gold Cup finals, taking on Brasilia. Brazil, a team that knocked off Mexico, a team that knocked off the United States. To me, this team needs to dominate this final. This team needs to dominate this final, and there's a good reason for it. I'll tell you what it is coming up later on in the radio broadcast, and it's for the good of all of us that are net heads. Hey, speaking of soccer, Greenville Triumph start their season tomorrow. They will be at home against Spokane,
Yes.
Spokane coming to town. Furman Paladins Stadium will be the host site for that match tomorrow. Very much looking forward to be back in the building. And then, of course, your SEC Women's Championship taking place right now. Well, not right now, but like in the grand sense of right now.
They could be practicing, could be out on the court. It's a little early, but you never know.
I mean, they're athletes. They're motivated. I don't get up and do stuff at 7 a.m.
Yeah,
I
you,
do.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Before that.
That was a dumb thing to say.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Either way, ladies and gentlemen, it's just after 7 o'clock in the morning, which means that if you got one of those regular 9-to-5ers, you're less than an hour away from clocking in, from responding to the boss's overnight emails, to dealing with Margaret in accounting who ate your Chobani last night.
Man, stick a Margaret. No one likes her.
The worst, man. Whatever you got to do, you got to do that. And then once you've done it, you will, of course, take your first well-earned, well-deserved break of the day, and you'll go talk sports with your coworkers. And if you're going to talk sports at work with your coworkers, you're going to need this. I'm not going to play with it anymore.
Yes, stop it. Yeah, stop it.
You little weirdo.
It's like the first cut I ever put on there. So,
It is.
every once in a while,
It's
you
a
gotta
good one.
play with
It's
it.
a good one.
Is it?
It's a good
I
one.
think so.
It is a good one.
Okay. All right.
Even if it drops an elbow on me, it's a good one. I can't fight about
It's
that.
an atomic elbow.
It is your water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office this AM and start talking sports with your coworkers. Let us begin with item number 1. This one, ladies and gentlemen, predominantly deals with the Atlanta Falcons, though it does have an impact on everybody because as we work our way towards the next major milestone in the NFL's calendar, that is next week when the league new year begins and you start seeing guys that are going to be let go, guys like Michael Thomas in New Orleans, guys like Russell Wilson in Denver, though he does have permission to go start talking to find his new team already. That's the next milestone. However, it is, if you ask many, not the biggest domino that needs to drop. That, of course, would be what the hell are the Chicago Bears going to do with the number 1 overall draft pick? Because if you draft anywhere from, say, 2 until 32, what the Bears decide to do is going to impact the rest of the draft. If Chicago decides to hang on to that number 1 pick and bring in a quarterback, that's going to have an impact on anybody. If they decide to hang on to number 1 and not bring in a quarterback, that's going to impact everybody. If they decide to trade back, that's going to impact everybody. So obviously, we're keeping an eye. And for those of you that have said to me, Rob Brown, I'm so tired of hearing about Justin Fields, please recognize the reason that Justin Fields is getting so much time on so many shows is not just because of Justin Fields and his National Football League future. I mean, that's part of the conversation, sure, but it is not the primary conversation. The reason that Chicago's decision on Justin Fields is so big is because everybody else with a draft pick is going to feel the shockwave of what direction Chicago decides to go. And it is the reason that stories like this one earn spots on the water cooler cheat sheet. BetOnline.com has offered up new odds about the Minnesota Vikings' next starting quarterback. Now, there's a lot of names on the list. For instance, at 25-1, you can take a bet that Zach Wilson will be starting for the Minnesota Vikings next year. At 20-1, you can take the odds that Nick Mullins is going to do enough this offseason that he earns a spot to start in week 1. At 20-1, you can take the odds that the elite Joe Flacco did enough in his comeback bid last year, earning comeback player of the year award honors, that Joe Flacco will be the starter. And then you go to the top of the board. You go to the shortest odds of the available listed names to be the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings in week 1. That name, Justin Fields at 3-1. Justin Fields is now, according to, and again, it's one site, though he is on the move on other sites as well. Justin Fields is now, depending on the book you're looking at, the shortest odds to be the starter in Minnesota next year. Now, that's interesting for a bunch of different reasons. One of the reasons that it is very interesting is because, and you might not be aware of this, but the Bears and the Vikings are in the same division. Ordinarily, a team is not going to want to is not going to want to send a guy that is a valuable piece of an offense to a division rival. They don't want to make their lives that much more difficult. The fact that Justin Fields is not only on this list, but is the shortest odds on this list, you know what that says to me? It says to me that the Bears don't believe in this guy. They have given up belief. Now, there was another story that came out that said that Justin Fields actually does have supporters in the building. That he actually does have allies within the Bears organization that are pushing Ryan Poles, their general manager, to hang on to him, to give him one more crack under this rejuvenated Bears offense to go get a Marvin Harrison Jr. or somebody of that ilk and give him a true number one and give him a shot at being QB1 with that setup. It also says to me that Minnesota is out on Kirk Cousins. With this news, Rob Brown placed a bet last night. Rob Brown placed a bet on the starting quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons in week 1. Not Minnesota, because I'm not quite there yet. But Rob Brown put a little spare change last night on the starting quarterback in week 1 for the Dirty Birds being Kirk Cousins. Why? Here's why. The fact that Justin Fields has skyrocketed up the odds list for Minnesota tells me that, yes, the Bears are ready to move on. They don't trust this guy. They don't believe in this guy. They don't think this guy is the guy. And that's fair. That's understandable. The second thing it tells me is that Minnesota does not trust Kirk Cousins. They are willing to let him walk. Whether or not that is fair, obviously, depends on your perspective. If that is the case, Kirk has got to go somewhere else. Then we had the report last week. And this is, I will acknowledge, a where there's smoke, there's fire belief for me. It does not mean that it is like, oh, I take this as gospel. But it seems that there were enough folks that were running with this story that somebody close to Kirk gave up the goods. The rumor is that the last starting quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons, Kirk Cousins, was internally at the least debating moving his family to Atlanta, Georgia. Now, leaving Minnesota is a good enough reason to move to Atlanta. As much as I dislike a Falcon, I have a soft spot in my heart for the city of Atlanta. It's a wonderful city. It's a great place.
Are you a little worried that Atlanta might be able to win now that with Kirk Cousins?
No, because I'm not a believer in Kirk Cousins. I'm not. And that's why this is, as far as I am concerned, and with the most humble of opinions being available to all of you, I don't believe in Kirk Cousins. If you ask me right now, and this is not me being ha-ha funny. You know I love being ha-ha funny. It's not me being ha-ha funny. If you gave me the choice right now between Derek Carr and Kirk Cousins, I'd take Derek Carr. That's not me like being a homer. That's me being an analyst. I do not believe in Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins, even with the injuries that they suffered, Kirk Cousins benefited in Minnesota by having a really good offense built around him, by having a really good set of skill players in there. I don't think Kirk Cousins was doing anything special in Minnesota that a lot of other guys couldn't have done the exact same thing. So I don't believe in Kirk Cousins. And I think Atlanta's got a good set of skill position players out there that, frankly, any quarterback could probably benefit from having. I don't know if they were Minnesota good with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and KJ Osborne. And even though he probably wasn't what we wanted him to be at the running back spot, the dude, they just released him. Not Addison.
By the way,
Madison.
I just looked it up because I was curious about touchdowns for Kirk Cousins. He threw a ton with the Commanders, 29 in 2015, 25 in 2016, 27 in 2017. Then with the Vikings, 30, 26, 35, 33, 29. Last year, only 18, but he got hurt last year. He's pretty good. I'm just saying that's just touchdowns, but he's pretty good.
I'm not saying he's not good. There's a lot of worse options out there.
And I believe it was yesterday you mentioned that Atlanta might be a quarterback away from winning that division. Not winning it all, but winning that division.
I did say that. And honestly, that might be true with Kirk Cousins. But there's another element to that discussion. To me, if you bring in 35-year-old Kirk Cousins, all you're doing if you're Atlanta is you're winning the division with a team that's not ready to go to the Super Bowl, in my opinion, but very, very close, but not ready to go to the Super Bowl. And what are you doing? You're just creating a situation where next year, what do you have to go find? Your quarterback of the future.
By the way, if you compare it to Derek Carr stats, because what you were saying earlier, Derek Carr just slightly below, but about the same.
Yeah, I agree. And then I would also look at, the drama that took place around my team last year, and B, the fact that Dennis Allen is still my head coach for some godforsaken reason, which I don't think helps you all that much at all. Anyway, all of that leads me to believe if Justin Fields is indeed, and keep in mind, as a gambler, I am inclined to remind you that Vegas odds don't just respond to news. They don't just respond to behind-the-scenes info that bookmakers in Vegas might end up with. They respond to one other major factor. They also respond to money. They respond to the bets, right? If somebody goes and they put $1 million bet on Justin Fields being the next starting quarterback, well, I shouldn't say it's not about quantity in this case of money. It's about quantity of bets. If tomorrow 5,000 of you go log a vote that Justin Fields is starting in Minnesota next year, even if there's not any verifiable reason to believe that, Vegas is still going to adjust the odds just to protect their own liability, just to protect the amount of payout they would have to make if it hits. Because if it does go sideways and that is what happens, and they left Justin Fields on the board at, say, 10-1, that means for every one of those bets, they got to pay out 10 times the bet. But if they shorten it down to 3-1 and they still get those bets coming in, then if it hits, they only got to pay out 3 times per bet. So there is absolutely the chance that this is just a bunch of Minnesota fans pulling out some wishful thinking, but it takes a lot of bets to get the odds to shift that dramatically. So I'm not quite there yet. Hey, let's go to item number 2 with like 3 minutes left to go on the shot clock here. That's okay. Because coming up here at 11 o'clock this morning, ladies and gentlemen, if you listened yesterday to the end of the radio broadcast, a radio broadcast which resulted in me shouting the words, "He's 57," into this microphone a whole heck of a lot of times. You know that I am, to me, a boxing fan, to Lonzo, a boxing elitist. There's a boxing match today. And considering that it is taking place in Saudi Arabia, it's on at a watchable time. It starts, the card does, at 11 o'clock this morning. And if you were the type of person who would spend money to watch an actual boxing match, not a social media clown, then I've got one for you. Because
you're talking about the undercard, because it's not an actual boxing match, because an MMA fighter is fighting a boxer.
No, a boxer is fighting a boxer, because we're not doing this. I'm not doing this again. You're not baiting me into this. Francis Ngannou is an MMA guy who now boxes. He doesn't make money boxing. He boxes. He knocks your boy on his ass. He boxes. Okay? Francis Ngannou faces Anthony Joshua coming up later on this morning. Why is that intriguing? Francis Ngannou entered that fight against Tyson Fury at plus 800 on the moneyline upset number. Plus 800. 8-1 odds that he was going to lose that fight. He knocked Fury down. And granted, Tyson Fury is, at least looking at it on paper, Tyson Fury is a better fighter than Anthony Joshua. Not by a ton. Which is why this number is interesting. Francis Ngannou today, great one, plus 230 to upset Anthony Joshua. Just a tick over a 2-1 underdog in a fight against a guy who, if I put Anthony Joshua in the ring against Tyson Fury, probably like a 2-1 underdog.
As I mentioned in Fight Club yesterday, which is Thursdays, tune in every Thursday for Fight Club. Narrative wise, Ngannou beats him, and then there's a rematch with Tyson Fury to make even more money. I'm not saying things are fixed or anything like that. It's just kind of would fit a certain narrative that would work out pretty well. That's all.
Francis Ngannou, I'm not saying will, can beat Anthony Joshua. Can beat Anthony Joshua. And he can beat Anthony Joshua the same way that Tyson Fury beat Anthony Joshua. And if he's got the chin, because what has been Tyson Fury's calling card in the land of boxing? His chin. He can take shots, and even if he gets knocked down, he does not get knocked out, right? He's been knocked on his butt. Deontay got him on his butt. Francis Ngannou got it on his butt. Alexander Usyk put him on his butt. I think if I recall correctly, and I could be wrong, but I think Anthony Joshua has put him on his butt once. But nobody's been able to put him to sleep yet. Francis Ngannou has more power than all those guys. He can. Scratch that. I'm not saying he can. He's probably the guy, if there's any on that list that can actually put Tyson Fury to sleep, it's him. And if he can put Tyson Fury to sleep, he can put Anthony Joshua to sleep. I'm not against taking a little flyer on Francis Ngannou at plus 230, because here's the thing. Boxing can't have another controversy like they did when most of us think Francis Ngannou already beat Tyson Fury and got a crooked split decision levied against him. Boxing can't have that level of controversy surrounding this fight. And on top of that, they know, as Lonzo just pointed out, Ngannou Fury Part 2 is down the line here, which means if there's going to be a split decision, they would likely lean towards Ngannou because more people want to see Ngannou Fury 2 than Joshua Fury 3.
All right, so Ngannou is in danger of making a mistake because he saw what happened with the split decision. So he's probably coming in with the mentality the only way he's going to win is if he knocks him out.
I don't think you're wrong, but I will also say I don't think that's wrong for a different reason. I think Francis Ngannou's got to put Anthony Joshua to sleep to win this fight. I think he's got to let him take a nap in the middle of the canvas. I don't think he can let this go to the scorecard. Because Anthony Joshua, while Francis Ngannou is, let's be clear, a boxer and a good one, Anthony Joshua is more technically sound between the ropes. If this is a points decision, Anthony Joshua will score more points. Francis Ngannou wins this fight by sleeping Anthony Joshua.
All right, and this is not me trying to start a fight, but I don't think boxing judges would allow him to win because he's not a boxer. And I don't think that they'll do that. And I think what we saw against Tyson Fury, very small sample size, it's just the first one, but I don't think that a boxing judge will allow him to win a split decision because of his background.
I disagree respectfully, because I think if this was his first big fight, I'd 100% agree with you. If this was Francis Ngannou's first big fight, 100% agree. As somebody connected to the boxing fandom, not as much as I used to be, but as somebody connected to the boxing fandom, Francis Ngannou won over Lonzo, me. And the people, all the people like me that when Jake Paul gets in the ring, we all go, what a jerk, what a loser. Me, the boxing elitist of the world, we have bought into Francis Ngannou as a legitimate fighter.
Would he have won you over if he was 57?
No. You know what the good news is? He's not 57. I hope Mike spins Jake Paul's head right round. The rat. See what I did there? That's the band.
No, I got it. That's well done.
I'm very good at this.
I'm just trying to get you to go to break.
I'm a professional. Let's go to break. Rob and Lonzo, the Rob Brown Show rolls on us. The Fan Upstate.
Smith.
All right, guys. Quick live read, and then we're right back. Y'all stay right there. right, dudes and dudettes, we're back.
I saw it. Let's hope the results. Let's hope the results are exactly that.
That's incredible work.
Because if you lost to that guy,
That's incredible work, man.
did you ever play that game?
No, I did not actually. It's a Punch Out.
Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
Yep. Chip Kelly was the head coach of the UCLA Bruins football team out in the Pac-12. He is now the offensive coordinator of the Ohio State University Bucknuts. He took over that job, departing UCLA to take a step down in title and money. And there were a lot of folks who wondered why. I told you my thought, which is Chip Kelly just wasn't as good at the job as he thought he was going to be.
Disrespect with the Bucknuts thing. It's just, I mean, it's just, I know what you're doing. And do you really want to do that?
It makes me laugh.
Okay.
Mr. Meow. Yeah, you don't do college football disrespect. You're better than that, Lonzo.
There's only your cat sound is comical.
Okay, I'm done with this. So he heads to Ohio State University to be the OC, leaves UCLA, and we all wondered why would you take a step back? And, listen, I gave my thoughts. My thoughts were he couldn't do it at UCLA. And for the record, that's a tough place to do it. You got Big Brother right across the street in USC that you're recruiting against. Good luck with that. The Pac-12 the last couple of years has been improving year by year. And now, you may or may not know this, but UCLA is not a Pac-12 school anymore. They're in also the Big Ten. Their lives were about to get much more difficult. And because of that, Chip Kelly took off. We did not get an answer, though, until now, when Chip Kelly yesterday was on the Pat McAfee show. Pat asked him, hey, Chip,
You little weirdo.
why did you decide to go to Ohio State University? And Chip Kelly said,
I say it all the time, but the best part of football is football. And as the game has changed at the collegiate level, and we talked about that, I think the head coaching role has turned a lot more into being a CEO than a coach. And I understand that. And that comes with the territory. But I was at a point in time where I could make a decision on what did I want to do. Like, I really enjoy coaching. I really enjoy being with the players. I really enjoyed the relationships you have when you're in a meeting room. I had not been in a meeting room since 2008. I became a head coach in 2009. As the head coach, you visit the meeting rooms. You're in there. But as you know, AJ, the head coach isn't in the linebacker meeting. He may poke his head in there and see how everybody's doing. But I got a chance to coach the quarterbacks in our bowl game because our quarterback coach is a great football coach, left to be the offensive coordinator at Oregon State. So I coached the quarterbacks, and I was in the meeting room daily for 2 weeks leading up to our bowl game against Boise State, and almost forgot about how much fun that part of it is, And as I thought about it, when I was at a point where I could say, here's an opportunity to go be a coach again, not a CEO. So it would have taken a real special place to get me to leave UCLA because I love the players there. I love the coaching staff we have there. We had a great situation. But the opportunity to come here and just coach football and not have to do the things that a head coach is asked to do now in college football appealed to me.
I want you to know, and I mean this, I respect that out of Chip Kelly. I think there's a chance that as some of you were listening to that, it was, Rub's about to pop. I'm not going to pop off on Chip Kelly. You know why? Because Chip Kelly admitted what I have wanted so many other head coaches to admit. So many other head coaches that have come out and complained and asked for things to indirectly go back to the way they used to be. What did Chip Kelly say? It's a hard job, and it got harder, and I don't want to do it anymore. I want to coach football, and I respect that. There's a lot of guys that want to coach football, but you don't get to thrive in the land of collegiate football coaching anymore by just coaching football. For the record, I'd be willing to bet there's a lot of kids playing football that wish they could just play football. Chip Kelly opened with that line that, for the record, I love.
I say it all the time, but the best part of football is football.
The best part of football is football. There's a lot of college kids playing football that I bet if you gave them the choice would love to just play football because the best part of football is football, for sure. But they don't have that either. There are obligations and requirements of you to play football. And now, if you want to succeed, there are obligations and requirements of you to coach football. And Chip Kelly just said, paraphrasing, I don't want to do those things. I just want to coach football. And as the offensive coordinator, he's still going to have to go to booster meetings. He's still going to have to shake hands and kiss babies. He's still going to have to do a bunch of that stuff. He's still going to have to recruit. But he doesn't have to get involved in so much of the minutia. There is going to be a larger focus on just coaching football. And I respect a dude that said, no, I'm going to walk away. I'm going to walk away from all the extraneous stuff that I don't want to do to go do the part that I do want to do. I respect that. Look, here's a reality. I just want to do radio. I just want to come in here every day for 4 hours alongside the great one and put on award-winning radio. That's the gig. But see, there's other stuff that I have to do in order to make that happen. I've got to go sit down and edit audio. I've got to go sit down and edit video. I've got to put those out. I've got to go to station meetings and station events. I got to not take a nap because we got a Zoom meeting I got to be in, or whatever the case might be. I don't get to just do the fun part of the job. If you ever get a job where you only have to do the fun part of the job, congratulations, you found the unicorn of employment. Good for you. I respect Chip Kelly for right now being the only coach that has grabbed a mic and said, yeah, I don't want to do all the BS that comes along with the portal and NIL and all that. I just want to coach ball. And I appreciate him going on a mic and actually having the rocks to say it.
All right. I was more concerned after watching it than I was happy, because later on in the interview, they asked him who was calling the plays. And he said he's only calling the best ones. And Ryan Day is calling the ones that don't work. And apparently so you know what that says to me? That there are two people calling the plays, not one person. And that could get ugly.
I am interested about that chemistry between Chip Kelly and Ryan Day. Because Ryan Day, from what I can tell, is a pretty hands-on coach when it comes to the play calling and the game day staff or game day decision-making and all that. And I think Chip Kelly is a guy who's been running his offenses for a very long time. So I'm intrigued in what arrangement they come to there and how they handle that splitting of the duties.
And thanks to NIL and portal and what the Buckeyes already were, it's a stacked team.
Oh, it's going to be a real good team.
After losing a couple players, or the players that they did lose, you think, oh no, but this thing is stacked. So they don't get it done this year. I mean, beat Michigan, then Chip Kelly will be the coach next year for the Buckeyes.
Texter said, I don't believe a word Chip Kelly has to say. Next year at this same time, he will be a head coach again. And all that bull he just spouted off on is exactly, now I do have to find the rest of that text, is exactly what is bull.
And the texter's probably right, because if Ryan Day doesn't beat Michigan, then suddenly Chip Kelly's elevated to head coach.
Why? Why would you do that with a guy who just went to UCLA, who the Bruins threw everything at because they thought they had found the guy who was going to elevate them back into we can compete with Big Brother, and who failed at that? I don't listen. Ryan Day could go 9-3 next year, and I would take Ryan Day over Chip Kelly as my head coach.
By the way, all kidding aside, so would I. But we don't make those decisions. And if he can't beat that rival, and like I said yesterday, and you kind of agreed with me, they're in the playoffs every year now. Unless something major happens, they're in the playoffs every year.
I don't agree with that, but I think they will be in way more than they're not.
Oh, they're in. When's the last time they lost more than 2 games? They're in the playoff every year. They've either finished first, second, or third, and if they get that third bid from the Big Ten, it's going to be them if they finish third.
The good news is you're in the Big Ten, and Fox Sports is clearly willing to manipulate the system for the betterment of the conference. So that's good news for you.
The Big Ten that got better.
It did.
And we'll see what happens.
Tougher.
Yes, it did. It did.
Now, to go back to the comments of one Chip Kelly, like I said, I immensely respect this brief moment of candidness from Chip Kelly. I respect that the dude grabbed the mic, got asked, why did you demote yourself? And he had the stones to say into a microphone on a nationally syndicated radio/television program, because I didn't want to do the stuff I didn't want to do. I didn't want to do the hard stuff. You were expected to be a CEO and coach, and I just want to coach. So I went somewhere to be a coach. Good. We need more of that. If you don't want to do head coach stuff, go do OC stuff. Go do DC stuff. Mike Loxley. If you don't want to do head coach stuff, then retire like Nick Saban did. For the record, I know we had some runs at Nick yesterday, but I respect immensely that he basically looked at the landscape and went, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. And he got out of the way for the next guy to make a run at it. I don't know if Kalen DeBoer is going to be successful or not, but he got out of the way for the next guy to make a run. And now Chip Kelly at UCLA, or I guess I should say not at UCLA, got out of the way so the next guy who is willing to be more of a CEO than a head coach can have a crack at being a CEO/head coach. The old HCEO. I respect it. I respect this take from Chip Kelly. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. My name is Rob Brown, the great Lonzo on the ones and twos. The renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phones open 844-326-3663. You can text us at 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-M. We'll read them on the air. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Sunday, the Shriners Children's 500. It'll be at Phoenix with 312 laps around the mile oval. It's one of 2 races at Phoenix. The next one will be the championship showdown in November. And Hendrick Motorsports is off to a good start. They won 2 of the first 3 races this year. College basketball SoCon tournament in Asheville, North Carolina. Both Wofford and Furman will play Saturday. Paladins against Western Carolina.
Maybe he's the next head coach in 2025. Well, he is if Lonzo gets his way.
Oh, no. I mean, Ryan Day could be in Michigan, and I'm fine. Hopefully you and I are together for 5-6 more years, so every year I can say, see, told you. See, told you. See, told you. Playoff every year. Of course, if they win the Big Ten every year, then but they
And
didn't
get
last
a-
year.
And they get
And
a free buy for reasons.
They didn't win last year. They didn't win it the year before. Go stink Michigan.
You don't hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, the band.
Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville.
Quote, he's got a lot of experience, a lot of big stage wins, the Heisman, a lot of pressure things that he's had to deal with. I'm going to lean on that experience. I'm going to lean on his poise. One of the first things I mentioned about Bryce is when you watch him play in college football and you saw him in those big games on TV, whether it was early in the season or whether it was later in the season against really good opponents, if you look behind the face mask, the eyes are the same. He's just cold-blooded. Those things were what really encouraged me to say this is going to be the top guy coming out because he's the guy. He is him. Is that what people say nowadays? Now it's just about giving him tools, giving him the green light to use those tools in an appropriate fashion and playing a brand of offensive football that we're proud of, end quote. That, the words of Carolina Panther head coach Dave Canales. I'm good with it.
He just looks the same. Yeah, he just looks the same. There's no emotion. There's a difference between being that cold-hearted snake who ain't afraid of nothing and being emotionless because there's like nothing there. Or maybe like you're scared out of your mind, and that's why your face stays the same.
And how, great one, would you, without being able to crawl into the psyche of one Bryce Young, how would you tell me that you know it is emotionless and not dialed in? What is the thing that Bryce Young does, says, acts like that makes you look at the guy and go, that guy's scared? Because I got nothing.
All right.
Except for a career of winning everything until this point.
Mm-hmm. Will you explain to me how he's everything that the coach said he was?
I'm going to go with exactly what he just said. I'm going to go with a Heisman Trophy. I'm going to go with national championships and appearances. Yes, because he has had 1 year under Frank Reich in the NFL. There is nothing in the NFL that I can lean on and go, this dude is scared, nor can I look at and go, this dude is going to be great.
So he's going to have a Trevor Lawrence type year coming up this year, because that's the same sort of thing that happened to Trevor Lawrence with Urban Meyer, and then the next year had a decent season. So Bryce Young's going to have the same kind of season.
If the team builds around him, like they have the opportunity.
Jaguars weren't that good, but Trevor Lawrence brought them to a level with better coaching. So we're going to believe that he's going to have better coaching.
He's going to have a better year. He's going to have a better year. I am exceptionally confident in that.
I appreciate that, Shane. By the way, check us out on the stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or the X.
There is, as far as I'm concerned, a thing that all of us do, which is we assign our emotion to other people. And then when the other people don't share that emotion, we get offended by it. I don't know Bryce Young personally. I'm not Stephen A. Smith.
You sure do sound like you do. For an entire year, you were his guy, you were his boy, you were his wingman, you were his apologist, you were everything for that guy. I thought for sure you were related.
We are not. We are not brothers from another mother's. Here's what I am going to say. There is no point up until last year. There is no point you can look at Bryce Young's football career and say anything other than he was exceptional until last year. Now, there's a lot of guys you can say that about. Tim Tebow, a guy that was exceptional his entire career, and then he got to the league and he just didn't got it. And it happens. I'm not saying that is an impossibility from this guy. What I'm saying is there's a lot of past from Bryce Young that I can lean on and go, he's won at every level so far. If you write him off before he even gets a crack at it, I don't know what to tell you.
I want him to win. I do. I absolutely want him to win. I want the Panthers to win. I want him to shut me up to where I can't say anything about him. But until he does, I'm going to keep talking.
Shane just said it. Shane just said it. His offensive line was better in college. His weapons were better in college, and his coach was better in college.
You can say that about just about everybody, every person who was picked number one overall, because they're going to a bad team in the NFL. Yeah. I mean, you can say that about any number one draft pick. Is there a number one draft pick? The guy picked number one overall who went to a good team.
So you are acknowledging that some teams are better and some teams there are worse than other teams. Yes, of course they are. Of course they are. The team this guy got drafted to was a dumpster fire compared to other dumpster fires.
So you're acknowledging that you're making excuses for him.
I am not. No, these are, again, reasons. A team being this atrociously bad as this team was when he got brought to Charlotte is not an excuse. It's a reason.
By the way, I want to point out to Trey especially, I'm not being vile to Bryce Young, by the way. I hope the kid does great. I really do. It's just the defense of him in a way that I've never seen Rob defend anybody that disturbs me. It does.
Texter said he's dialed in. No other emotion I feel is the same thing. One emotion, be the football. Be the football. Think the football. Be the football.
Or I wish I was taller. I wish I was taller. I wish I was taller. Oh, this is going to hurt.
You know, for all Lonzo of the Rob defends him like they are brothers, you also dump on him like he's your brother.
Just because it bothers you. That's the main reason it bothers you. And that's the kind of love that I was taught.
Well, so, at least it's out there in the open. Lonzo loves.
Oh, so you never thought for a second that I didn't pour it on a little bit more because it bothers you so much?
Lonzo loves me and Bryce Young so much he would throw desks at us. That's how much he loves us. That's true love. It is.
Well, there are no more desks in the hallway. They moved those, unfortunately.
Probably because they heard your stories from your Ohio classrooms.
It made me feel comfortable walking past them every day because I felt like I was, at home.
Text said Mark Ryan is cussing out his radio right now because of the Tebow comment. Oh, no. He's been hearing me say that for like a decade now. This is not new to him. All right. He's used to that. All right.
That's like senility if you're like cussing out your radio. I mean, because, the person on the radio can't hear it. I'm just saying.
Sometimes you just got to let the emotions out. And sometimes you just got to be cold-blooded like Bryce Young. It's 2 hours in the It's 2 hours in the books. One or both of us may be back for the next hour. We'll see how it goes. My name is Rob Brown. He is the Great One Lonzo. And as he is the Great One Lonzo, he is about to deliver a great, this was not my best work, sports flash.
Which is exactly what I'm going to say when I'm done with this. This was not my best work. Minnesota Timberwolves. See, I already messed up. Wolves currently hold the top spot in the NBA's Western Conference, but their quest to hold it just got tougher. All-Star center Karl Anthony Towns will undergo surgery to repair a torn left meniscus that will cause him to miss the remainder of the regular season and potentially the early portion of the playoffs. The SEC Women's Tournament is taking place at the Bon Secours Wellness Arena. Yesterday, Texas A&M knocked off Mississippi State 72-56. Kentucky fell to Tennessee 76-62. Auburn knocked off Arkansas 67-48. And Florida put down Vanderbilt 62-59. The South Carolina Gamecocks play today against A&M around noon. Tune in tomorrow night at 6 p.m. as the Furman men's basketball team takes on Western Carolina in the first round of the Southern Conference Tournament on the Fan. Sorry, the comments about, one of us may not be back just it messed me up. Let me reiterate, no matter what you think about me, the Panthers are my NFC team. I want them to do well. I'm upset. I think they made the wrong choice. I think they should have went with CJ Stroud. And that was about bias at first because of Ohio State, but we saw what he was able to do with less, and everything that they said about the Panthers, they said about Houston, and then revisionist history, people act like it wasn't said, and it was, and he was able to do something there. Bryce Young was not able to do anything with the Panthers. I want him to do well. Hopefully he's got better management now and a better coach, and hopefully he does well. And you moles can tell him I said this, but Rob defends Bryce Young in a way I've never seen before, and it's weird. So, of course, I'm going to come at that. Appreciate the vote of confidence, James, and behind the ropes, but I'm just not good enough for that. Thank you, Shane. I love you too.
Streaming March 14th, only on Peacock. There's something remarkable about the University of South Carolina. It's in the labs, where researchers are discovering ways to make communities healthier and stronger. It's in the nation's best first-year student experience and top-ranked programs in nursing and health sciences. It's where more South Carolina students have access to higher education.
And dadgummit, people like me.
And both of us are back. So I mean the threat that I'm contacting HR after the thing when he said one of us won't be back. That sounded like a mafia hit was about to go down.
If you find me threatening, I don't know what to tell you.
I do, but it's strictly from looks. Knowing I will never look as good as Rob Brown, it's threatening.
Look at me. I look like a hockey goon.
Maybe that's what some of us aspire to be, a hockey goon. Talk about someone who enjoys their work. A hockey goon, I'm guessing, really enjoys their work.
There's a dude right now named Ryan Kempe who let me put it this way. He had an article written about him yesterday that was going viral entitled, Ryan Kempe is trying to fight the entire NHL. Is that a good idea?
Wonder if anyone's ever done that before.
Fought the whole league.
Yeah. Or at least one guy on every team. Also, keep something in mind, Trey. This is inside radio. Radio is just people turned up to another level. So sometimes things that you think are really real,
Matt Rempe, sorry.
It's just someone doing their job. That's all. And we are and will always be wrestling fans on the radio doing wrestling.
You marks. Don't work yourself into a shoot, brother.
Come on, brother.
What do y'all want to talk about?
So, upstate South Carolina. What do you want to talk about? Now I just want to do this.
It's weird that he throws his hands like to the side, not up, right? And here we go. Hour number 3 of the Rob Brown radio program starts right now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is, of course, as always, just beyond wonderful to have you, Rob Brown, and the great one, Lonzo, with you on what I assume is going to turn out to be a fantastic Friday.
Why do you keep saying that? I mean, yeah,
it's a little dreary in the AM portion of the day,
and
man.
it's supposed to rain tomorrow too. But it's spring in South Carolina. It's going to rain. That's what we get. That's what happens.
You ain't wrong. You ain't wrong.
At least it's warm out.
The Southeastern Conference Women's Basketball Tournament currently underway as we saw our second round of games take place yesterday. This may shock you to some degree, but the gals that Don Staley coaches, they're expected to win this thing after going perfect.
No, are you serious?
I know. What a shock, yeah? What an absolute shock. I am fascinated with Don Staley as a coach.
I just want to say, if you are on your way to the well right now and you are a
You're
member
way early. That game doesn't tip for 4 more
the
hours.
South Carolina Gamecocks, or maybe you just woke up in your hotel and you're listening to this, I really want you to win. That was sarcasm. I just want you to know that.
I am fascinated by Don Staley as a coach because of what has been mentioned so many times, not just on this show, but on the station. And on sports talk radio shows around the country. This team had 5 new starters this year. This team rotated an entire team out, got another entire team in, and ended up right back in the exact same spot that they were in a year gone by. Can we talk about how impressive that is?
It's dynastic.
It very much is. And I don't think it's cliche to say that it is a feeling of dynastic. This is the kind of thing that you have to do to even have your name qualified to be spoken about that way. It's beyond impressive. You have to list her right now amongst the best coaches in the game, I think. And I'm talking men's and women's side. And the only question that I think there is at this point is, does she decide at some point that she wants to take it to another level? That she wants to go to the men's side, that she wants to go to the WNBA, or that she wants to go to the NBA down the line?
But why does she need to do that, though?
I don't think she does. Just so we're clear. That's the discussion that is taking place nationally about Dawn Staley. And for the record, I do not think that she needs to do a damn thing to prove herself. I think she has proven herself. I think she is proven. I think she has proven herself. And I think she is, again, proving herself right now. The way she is handling her business in Colombia. I do kind of want to see it. I'm not selfishly, I don't want to see the Lady Gamecock program changed. I want to see, because as I said earlier in the show, bona fide, I think South Carolina is on the edge of becoming one of those elite basketball schools. I think they are on the edge of becoming one of those elite basketball schools that just is in Carolina Duke territory. And that's a hard place to get to. And I know that to a lot of you, that's an insult. It should not be. And you should not let anyone be insulting about it. College basketball is the second most popular college sport that there is. And assuming that Lamont Paris is able to do what he's doing for years to go, and by the way, I think the biggest challenge for South Carolina basketball, aside from not completely losing their identity when they come up against good teams like Tennessee, because the SEC tournament starts next week on the men's side, and there is going to be some element of necessity that you make noise in this. Right now, bracketology has the men's side locked in as a 6 seed. There is the possibility to go higher. I think a 5 seed is realistic. I think a 4 seed is probably asking a little much, but not impossible depending on what you do in the tournament, in the conference tournament. The biggest challenge that you are going to face is going to be keeping your coaches in play. Now, I don't know if Dawn Staley, I'm sure she's been asked, I'm sure she's answered this question a million times. I've read the answer a couple of times. Again, respectfully to Dawn, I don't know her personally. I enjoy her interviews. I enjoy the times I've heard her speak. I enjoy watching her coach. I have zero idea if there is anything in the back of her noggin, in the back of her brain, that is calling her to give it a shot on the men's side or to jump up to the WNBA or the NBA outright. I do know that as we are watching more and more teams at the professional levels hire women as coaches of professional teams. I think the San Francisco Giants just hired another one. The Miami Marlins had a female general manager there for a year that was working on bringing this team back out of obscurity into actual contention before, for some insane reason, they decided not to make her full-fledged president of baseball operations, and she walked. But as we're watching on a almost weekly basis at this point, that proverbial glass ceiling be shattered, Dawn Staley being the biggest of those names right now, I do wonder if there's not something calling her forward. And again, selfishly.
All right. On behalf of all South Carolina fans out there, stop trying to get her out of South Carolina.
Okay. So that we are clear, I am not trying to do anything. You know what I hope happens? Whatever the hell Dawn Staley wants to happen. Okay. If she wants to be a lifer for the Gamecocks, I'm here for it. By the way, so that we're all on the same page, it's better for me if she stays. It's the only thing that would have been better for me than her staying on board as the coach of the women's team would have, I'm sorry to say, because I enjoy it, would have been if she would have walked over and taken over the men's side before they hired Lamont Paris. But real good hiring in Lamont Paris, or at least it looks that way on paper so far. I hope all the teams do well side of me. Yeah, no, stay. This team is dynastic. This team is a team that is getting love on every outlet that's out there that is talking about women's basketball. Sure.
And she also appears to be a fun person, not crusty like some coaches are. She's actually been on this station before early on when we first started. We had one, maybe two interviews with her, and she was awesome. And she doesn't seem to change as far as that goes. And I hope she stays with the Gamecocks for another decade.
For the record, she'll be on this program after the season's over. And I'm looking forward to it. I've not gotten the chance to interview Dawn before. I look forward to that. The sports fan in me, just a general sports fan, 100% wants to see her move over to the man's side and see. Fun fact, Rob, Don Staley is 4 years younger than Jake Paul's next opponent. That's a great text, Wesley. That's a great text. The sports fan in me wants to see her move over. The sports fan in me wants to see her go over and kind of shatter that old school mentality, because I do think she has commanded enough respect that she would be successful. And I think she knows the game, obviously, exceptionally well, as well, if not better, than any other basketball coach on either side right now does. But I think it's not just about that. It's about the fact that she has proven that she's a damn good leader as well. I don't care who you look at. Let's look at John Calipari for just a second. John Cal's over at Kentucky. And granted, this Kentucky team is coming alive right now. Kentucky is one of the bigger threats out of the Southeastern Conference right now. They're playing the best basketball they've played in a while. But John Calipari has been complaining for the past couple of year after years, even though he's built his program out of it, about the one and dones, right? About the one and dones, about guys showing up to play Kentucky ball, playing for a year, and then taking off to either hit the portal or to jump up to the National Basketball Association. Don Staley is keeping gals on the roster. This is why right now, in the age of NIL, in the age of the transfer portal, this is why I would list Don Staley amongst any coaches. And I'm talking any sport, either side, any coaches in the game. I would mention Don Staley amongst the best. And I would do so because she is keeping the folks that 100% could be getting opportunities to go play elsewhere. They want to be in South Carolina. She is recruiting exceptionally well. She is reading global basketball by bringing in young ladies like Camila Cardoso. What element of coaching is she not nailing? The recruiting's good. The retention is good. Sending athletes to the next level, great. She sent the number 1 draft pick in the WNBA last year. The only thing that stood between her and another natty last year was maybe the best college basketball player or the most notorious college basketball player in America last year, Caitlin Clark, who, again, I don't need to go on and on again about how successful, how talented, how skilled that young lady is. There is not an element of head coaching that Don Staley isn't nailing right now. That is why I said earlier when we played you that clip from Chip Kelly, I respect that Chip Kelly is putting it out there. I don't want to be a head coach anymore because there are a ton of responsibilities and moving parts that you've got to get down. You've got to be a CEO as much as a coach. And I believe the best part of football is football. Well, if the best part of basketball is basketball, that young lady has the eyes of America turned in her direction right now. And I think there's something to be said for it. Let's run to a break. When we come back here in just a minute, we got to talk NBA ball. My guy, Hatin Ass Mario, going to join us on the show to talk a little shooty hoops. We'll take a look at some of the breaking news out of the NBA as Karl Anthony Towns going to be out until the playoffs, maybe through part of it, with a necessary surgery to repair a meniscus. How's that change the West? Are the Nuggets rounding that corner? I told you they were going to round, though I thought they were going to do it later in the season. They got the better of Beantown last night. We'll talk about that. And he told me last night that he has a historic comparison about Luka Doncic that's going to blow your mind. Hashtag clickbait. We'll see. We'll see if Mario brings it when we come back on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Off State.
Smith.
All right, guys, one more live read, and we're coming back with Mario after this. Y'all stay right there. Mario, what's up, dude?
Hey, what's going on, brother? How are you?
Hello, partner. Doing all right, big dog?
Yeah, I can't complain. How about yourself?
I mean, I'm getting paid to talk about basketball on a Friday. How bad could my life be?
That's what I'm saying.
A little hint: don't work the number 57 into anything that you say today.
Number 57.
Mike Tyson's age. Don't work that in there.
He's 57 years old.
Oh,
That's
going
the
into
guy
that.
Jake Paul's going to fight to legitimize himself. A 57-year-old man. Get out.
I'm actually worried he might die. Like, I'm actually like worried about that. Like,
Which
what?
one? Which one?
Like Tyson, like Paul. I mean, Paul can hit. Like, one hit, he could really go down.
See, you're making him mad already. So I shouldn't have said
Mike
that.
Tyson hits Jake Paul in the head so hard his head spins in a circle.
Fair. Are you pumped? Are you guys pumped by the way for this UFC card tomorrow? I'm ecstatic.
It's the first one in a while I think I'm going to watch. Like, I think I'm going to get it. It's a good card.
Will you do your hair like Sean O'Malley for it?
Mario did.
No, I want you to do it.
I don't
Yeah, those cornrows look tight. That looks painful. I can't. If my ponytail is too tight, I can't handle it. So I can't imagine how that hurt when you did that,
dude. Honestly, so like right, like up top, not bad. It's the right here where I'm like, where I was like, God, that hurts, and they really pull. Like that was the only part where I was like, shit, that hurt so bad.
Watch your language, Mario. Be an adult. Be a professional.
We're not on air yet, right?
We're not, but be better.
If we were, you would have seen me hitting the dump button. So don't test me.
Don't test it. He will dump you.
Yeah,
I've been dumped for way less.
Yeah,
God, now I want to talk about Paul versus Tyson. Now you got me hooked on that, dude.
No, absolutely not. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown and Lonzo now joined on the stream. Available at Facebook.com/TheFanUpstate, Twitter.com/TheFanUpstate, on YouTube by searching and subscribing to the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate, and the Rob Brown Show on Twitch. He is the executive producer of Bet for the Cycle, the nation's #1 sports gambling show, if you ask my mom, and of course an expert for the BetQL network on all things shooty hoops and hairstyles. He is the great Hatin Ass Mario joining us on the show. What's up, fella?
You know what, Rob? I'm living the dream this morning on a Friday morning. I'm talking hoops with you. I see Lonzo. He looks good. I mean, at 57 years old, I'm going to look back at this day and think, God, what a great day. Like this was such a fun morning. I'm ecstatic. I got an air diffuser. It smells good in here. I'm having a great day.
If you make it to 57.
It doesn't smell in here. It's good in here because Rob used 10,000 ounces of his hand sanitizer, nearly knocked me out earlier.
Stop being dramatic.
If you saw why I backed away from, because it's bad.
The
dude.
two of you are the most two dramatic people I know.
I'm kind of with you. Hand sanitizer, the smell gets out quick, and then as soon as it gets out quick, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like a fart. As soon as it goes, baby.
All right. See this, I hesitate to bring on Mario, and this is why. All right. Let's talk basketball, bud. What do you say?
Hey, let's do it.
Karl Anthony Towns down with the meniscus. The Timberwolves, the #1 seed in the West right now. You and I both said a couple of weeks ago we didn't expect them to be there at the end of the year. Now Big Cat going to be down through the remainder of the regular season. Might miss as much as the entire opening series if the Timberwolves have to play in it. I assume that they will. How big is this in the West that the Timberwolves just lost their big gun for the remainder of the regular season?
If you're the Thunder, you're pretty pumped right now because you really need that 1 seed and really want that 1 seed, and it's looking good for you. Because no Cat, there goes your second scoring for the Timberwolves. That's hard, man. He's a hard guy to replace. That's scoring. That's an extra defender that's pretty big that can help out. I know he's not the best defender, but still, it's big, and it's going to rely a lot on Anthony Edwards. And we saw last night he can be Superman, obviously, but he was also being Superman against the Pacers, whose defense is, how do you say this, not very good at all, who's terrible. So having 41 on the Pacers, yes, that's very impressive. And yes, he was there on both sides of the ball. And yes, you could argue that was his best game of his career. But it was against a defense that isn't very strong. Like, what happens when you play a Clippers defense like that? And their schedule doesn't get any easier, by the way. They have Nuggets 3 more times this year. Nuggets are going to play pretty hard finishing out the year because, again, they want better seeding. You have the Suns 2 more times. By the way, they need to play better because they need better seeding. Then you have the Cavs who really want to seal up that 2 spot. So they're going to, once again, play their guys. They're going to play pretty hard for it. Then you have the Clippers and the Warriors. Clippers, are they Clippers? They might rest guys. Yeah, sure. Or, again, might try to go for that higher seed. But the Warriors are not. The Warriors are trying to skyrocket into this whole dance. So it's not going to get easier for the Timberwolves. They're going to slide. They're going to drop. How far is I think the biggest question. I think they could drop. I mean, they're only a half game ahead of the Thunder, 1 game ahead of the Nuggets, and 3 games of the Clips. It's pretty possible that they could drop all the way down to 4 before it gets to playoff time.
You mentioned the Nuggets. I made a call 3 weeks ago. The Nuggets will be the 1 seed in the West. And I'm standing on that. And last night, all of a sudden, they're not just beating Boston, they're beating Boston. Like, I knew there was an afterburner moment for the Nuggets. That felt like a team, we were talking about boxing earlier, felt like a team that just lives with the rope-a-dope, right? They're gonna let you get comfortable, let you think that they're a 3, a 4 seed caliber team. And then 2-3 weeks before the playoff brackets got locked in, they were going to actually hit the throttle and be the team that won the NBA championship last year. Did we see that last night? Was it a bad night from Boston? What was your break on that game?
I think it's a mixture of both because once again, we saw why Jokic is the best player in the world, right? Like his triple-double, he could do anything he wanted against the Celtics, and Celtics had no answers for him. I also think it's a partial. We see that Boston just won 11 in a row. And then they had a hard game against Cleveland where Wade, not Dwayne Wade, goes off for 20 in the fourth, which like rarely ever happens. In a 7-game series, by the way, that's not happening again. So there's Celtics coming off of that. And then they play the reigning champs in Denver, which is a hard place to play. And then they lose. Jason Tatum doesn't have the great game. And we're all ready to pounce on the Celtics and going, oh, they're fake. They're nothing. They're nothing. Pause on that. They're still the number 1 team in net rating. They're still I believe their 2nd defensive rating and number 1 in offensive rating. They're still one of the better teams in the NBA. They can have 2 bad games. Breaking news. The Nuggets, on the other hand, I think we did see, countering to that this is still a championship team. This is still the team to beat, and this is still Jokic's league. It's just in terms of when does he want to turn it on, and what can you do not to minimize him, but to minimize everyone else around him because he's so good. You're not gonna take him out of any game.
You talk about Boston, and this kind of blew my mind a little bit because that team is objectively good. This isn't like they've had a couple of good runs and you're going to see some folks that push back and, we can nitpick this. That. This team is an objectively good Boston. This is the team that Celtic fans have been waiting to see for like 4 or 5 years in a row now. They have finally clicked. They have finally done it. I get on social last night, Mario, and I'm watching people begin to talk about the collapse of the Boston Celtics are falling apart. That is what we in the business refer to as a real bad take, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's Boston overreacting to 110 degrees that way. It's ridiculous. Look, I get it. We've seen this before from Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I think what's unfair to them, Rob, is that like at 19 years old, they were like in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like at 19, they were, right? And it was because the East was so bad and there was no one else. And then we take everything they did from then on and go, they just always choke. They always choke. How about they couldn't buy alcohol the first time they put an Eastern Conference game and they're playing against LeBron James? Like, how about that, guys? Can we factor that in for a second? They are the far and away best team in the East. There's no team that touches them. And when everyone's like crapping on Boston, I was like, do you guys remember like a week and a half ago when they just for I believe the 3rd time this year, 50-balled the Warriors? Like, can we remember that really quickly? Like, that was pretty impressive, right? Like, just remember those moments. Every team's allowed to have their slumps. Last year, remember when everyone's crapping on the Nuggets because they had that little slow skid where they just like they didn't care because they didn't care. They were that good. They knew they were that good, and they were saving it for the playoffs. Everyone crapped on because Jokic is MVP. I remember that. I'm old enough to remember that, and I remember a lot of stuff. So I think that's the thing we're doing with the Celtics right now. And then when we hit playoff time, we're going to go, oh, yeah, they are the best team in the East. I forgot about that.
Here's what I love about this team. There are two guys not named Tatum and Brown that I am really glad to see having success. One of them is Kristaps Porzingis. This is a dude who has been beat up on everywhere he's gone, having a phenomenal year because there's so much attention that has to be played to the Boston Celtics playing outside the three-point in that Porzingis is taking advantage of that. And then Drew Holiday, who has been since his time in New Orleans, probably my favorite non-Pelicans player because he is an old school slap the court, play hard nose, jump the lane defense, and a pretty good point guard on top of that. The success for Boston to me, Mario, is not, I mean, it is Brown and Tatum. They can score the rock. But the success is Holiday and Porzingis doing what they do and demanding that you pay less attention to Brown and Tatum, and that lets them go off. And look, you got Jaylen Brown, you got Al Horford in the backup role that stepped in and done some stuff. Derek White's had some good games here and there. But Holiday and Porzingis are the unsung heroes of this team. And the reason if Boston's going to make the Eastern Conference Finals, those two guys will be the reason why, in my opinion.
I completely agree, especially with Holiday. He's going to have some tough matchups going to the playoffs, right? Like, he's an excellent defender. That's all we know about him, really. But he's going to have some tough matchups, right? Like, we're going to need him come in when he plays the Heat. He's got to guard Butler. Butler owned him last year. He's got to, come back in and play a little bit better than that. He's got Donovan Mitchell that he'll probably have to face. He's got Max he's probably have to face. Like, there's going to be some really good tests for him in the Eastern Conference. I think, honestly, you mentioned his name later, but I think Derek White is just right in that group because his scoring option that he can be when Tatum and Brown aren't having their night where they can't get it going is exceptional. Like, his playmaking is exceptional. Defensively, he's so smart. He's always in the right spot. And, I go back to the Heat game last year that forced Game 7. Who was it that tipped it in the go? It was Derek White. He's always in the right place at the right time. He's a smart ball player. And if the Celtics don't win it this year, what happens to White? Because he's going to ask for a lot of money. He deserves a lot of money. He should go to Chicago. But my point is I think they will go as far, not as Tatum and Brown go, to your point. They will go as far as Porzingis, Holiday, and White and Horford let them to go. Because those are the guys that are really, really key in them winning. Because you can only ask so much of Tatum and Brown.
I love that team. I love that team. I love the Nuggets. There's another team I enjoy. And this one's fun. I want your take because I have heard every opinion on the Miami Heat on both sides of the spectrum, right? You hear people that go, oh, it's just in their DNA to show up when it's playoff time. It's just in their DNA to get there. And then there's other folks that go, look, this team just doesn't have the talent that it's had in years gone by. They're hanging out in the 6th seed right now. They are not a play-in team right now. Does Miami have it? To me, as long as they're not a play-in team, and as long as they can have Tyler Hero, who's been out for a while, and Jimmy Buckets healthy when the playoffs get here, and Bam Adebayo is just average, Miami's a sneaky dark horse team to me.
No, 100. I'm with you, like 110,000%. Like, I think if they just stay, like, I think staying at that 6th spot's really not bad for them because right now, let's just say, all things ended today, they get the Cavs. Well, we saw I am a Cavs believer, but we did see what the Cavs did against the Knicks last year. Spoelstra versus that young Cavs team, it's a pretty good matchup, if you ask me, for the Miami Heat in the first round. I am a believer. You see Terry Rozier starting to kind of find his role in this team. He had 27 last night. He looked like he's starting to find his role in the offense. That's going to be scary. Jimmy Butler takes it up to a whole nother level in the playoffs. And their young guys are young, and they're good, and they've been tested in college basketball. Jaime Jaquez is a hell of a player that has done exceptional things for the Heat this whole year. Like, if there wasn't Wemby and Chet, like he would be up there in the rookie of the year conversation. Just so happens that we have 2 generational talents in this same rookie class, which isn't fair to him. But I'm a believer in the Miami Heat. They've won 7 of the last 10. I thought they were going to get the dub last night against the Dallas Mavericks. They lost that one. But the Mavericks, also look at those moments, Rob, where I think who needs this win more? The Mavericks need that win bad. I mean, bad. So I don't really take that against them. Right now, they're 6th in defensive rating in the last 10, 8th in offense, 6th in net rating. I'm with you. They're my dark horse. I'm never going to stop believing in you. You know, they're the ex-girlfriend that you go, I will never stop loving you. That's the Miami Heat, baby. Like, I will never stop loving them.
All right. So we go from one team that's always kind of there to one team that's always kind of been there. Less than a week ago, the Golden State Warriors put together a historic dub. I mean, I have to stop what I'm doing to go tune into this game style win. And they tricked me because I'm like, all right, there it is. Steph and the boys got it together. Draymond's finally got his head on his shoulder. It looked like the strategy of sending Clay to the bench to rejuvenate maybe worked. And then they come out and then they don't do that again. Is this team cooked? They are sitting it. Stop it. Stop it. Noted Steph Curry hater Lonzo. This team finally cracks the 500 mark. They get to 33 and 29. They are hilariously above the Lakers for the 9 seed right now, but they find themselves over 3 games out of the Phoenix Suns for the last playoff spot. Is the dynasty dead for Golden State, especially if Steph ends up missing any long-term time?
If he misses any long-term time, they're cooked. I mean, they're especially cooked. They're burnt. Like, throw them in the trash can. I think right now they're nowhere near where they used to be, obviously. I mean, look, they're a play-in team. Like, that's just what they are. They're not the dynasty's dying a slow death. They're a play-in team, and that's all they are. They had a great run. The trio is fantastic. Draymond's a great defender. Does he give you a lot of offense? Like he does every now and then. Clay is obviously nothing what he used to be. Him coming off the bench is not a bad move. I don't hate their young talent. Ready for this old man stat, Rob, that I had last week? I'm watching the Warriors, and it's Warriors versus Knicks, and I'm counting how many times guys dove on the floor for the basketball. I did count that, and I counted 4. And I was like, I know, it's my old man stat. But God, what that screams, though, that screams something. It screams that, one, that team's all in together. They have a mission, and that these young guys are committed to success. That's what that screams out to me. All that equals a play-in spot because that team's not talented enough to do anything else in the West, and the West is way too good. They're a play-in team. The dynasty's dying a slow death. It's because they don't want to move on from the big 3 that brought them 4 championships. I understand it.
All right, couple more to ask you about before we get out of here. I am going to start with, I was watching, and this is not me. Okay. I'm watching Perk on McAfee yesterday, and they said, hey, give us some teams. And Perk said, out of the West, his sleeper team to make a deep playoff run and reach the Western Conference Finals. Sleeper team, not a favorite, but a sleeper team was your, Lonzo's, our New Orleans Pelicans. Here's the thing. They're 37 and 25. This isn't the team that always kind of hung around 500, lived and died in a playoff game. This is a team with a better record than Phoenix and Sacramento, than Dallas, than Golden State, than LA. And all of a sudden, Trey has woken up. Zion has been healthy. Knock on every piece of wood at a 45-mile radius. He's been healthy the whole season so far. When he's healthy, Brandon Ingram doesn't have to take over games to win. Still can. I don't think Kendrick Perkins is crazy, and I don't think I'm being a homer by saying it, Mario.
I knew this was coming. Look, before I even went into this argument of can they do it, I listed out.
Just say yes or no, Mario. Just say yes or no, and then we'll hear the explanation. Just say yes or no.
Girl. No. But hear me out. Stop me when I get crazy. The combos, I would take over Zion and Ingram. This is one of those moments where I was like thinking of why. And I was like, the combos. Ready? Stop me. So Jokic Murray.
Oh, I will.
All right, Jokic Murray.
I'm good with that.
SGA and Jet.
I'll allow it.
Okay. Booker Durant.
I'll allow it.
Kawhi, Paul George.
I will not allow it.
Okay.
Not in 2024. I will not allow it.
Okay. He's hurt right now, so I'll say if he's able to come back, but Edwards Towns.
I'm gonna be real with you. I think I like the offense out of Zion and BI more. And I think you don't probably get I don't think you get the defense out of BI Zion that you get out of Cat. But I think you have a more balanced scoring attack and a better scoring attack. And let's be honest, the NBA is running an investigation into did we make the game too offensive friendly? The better the offense is, the more that duo makes sense. So I think I'm gonna cut you off at the T-Wolves combo.
Okay. That's completely fair. That's completely fair. There is a point to be made. Like the defensively, I do think gives the Pelicans a little bit of an edge. But the part that just scares me about the Pelicans is I was watching them play the Pacers, and Turner gets in foul trouble, and he heads to the bench, and they go straight to this ISO shot of Zion, and he's got his mad Hulk face. And I'm like, oh, God. I was like, dude, he's going to go off. He's going to have 40 points tonight. Turner's on the bench. Like, I literally texted my buddy, hey, you got to get up here. You got to watch this. We're going to see a Zion game. He didn't do anything. He could barely score. He could barely score under the basket. Like, he was getting offensive foul. Like, I was drawn back. And in that moment, I literally wrote my notes. I said, we're not believing in the Pelicans. So that stuck with me to the day I die. Is the Miles Turner fouls out.
Is that the game? Is that the game they lost to the Pacers?
Yes.
What'd they do the next night?
Fair.
They beat them by 30 in a revenge game, right? Like,
yeah.
So I may not get it. Look, bad nights. Trey Murphy III and Herbert Jones are the reason this team's a dark horse. All right, we got about 60 seconds left, and you told me last night you had a ridiculous Luka take that everybody was going to want. Give it to me real quick.
So everyone compares this Luka offense that the Mavs run that's absolutely disastrous, where his usage is way too high, to James Harden. And the James Harden offense that the Rockets ran and his insane stats he was putting up. This offense is not going to take Luka anywhere, and I'm going to go a step further, and people are going to call me crazy here. I'm going to compare this offense that the Mavs ran by a head coach, I shouldn't be a head coach, to the early Jordan years, where when Jordan was with Collins before Phil Jackson, that offense worked, got him to the Eastern Conference Finals. They got beat by the Pistons because they couldn't figure that out. Everyone figured out, hey, if we just hammer Jordan, they can't do anything else. Same thing with the Mavs. Every time they get to a little bit deep in the playoffs, it falls apart because that offense does not sustain anything. In order for Luka to win a title, he needs a good head coach. He needs not a Jason Kidd. For the love of God, someone in Dallas, get him away from Jason Kidd. I want to see Luka to win a title. Obviously, I don't think he's Jordan, but I think there's similarities there where he needs an offense where people move off the ball, and then he can win a title, Rob. I just want him in the title.
I honestly, I don't hate that. My question would be, could we not solve that with player moves around him? Like, is Daniel Gafford the guy that I can say, you can't come out and double Luka every time he brings the ball across half court because Daniel Gafford's down low. You know what I mean? Like, I agree with you. Yeah. I'm not a J Kidd guy, but like, let's not pretend that PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford are doing anything to help Luka.
But Hardaway Jr. and Kyrie are. And that's my point. As I watch that offense, I'm like, why isn't, watch the Warriors for 2 seconds. Why is no one running a back screen? Why is no one moving off ball? Like, why anything like that? We're going to watch Luka. You're going to get ready for a kick? Come on.
I love it. Hatin Ass Mario Herron for the BetQL Network. He is the executive producer of Bet for the Cycle every Saturday from noon to 4. Hey, what do you have to do because you lost the last Parlay Challenge? What was that again? Remind me.
Pole dancing. It's a cherry pop pole dancing class. Did I have a class tomorrow? Class tonight, so I have to gonna do it Tuesday. I already scheduled and locked it in. So pole dancing, cherry pop. Lonzo, what do you think? Think I could look good on a pole?
Yeah. Are you wearing spandex or are you going no shirt? I mean, what you doing?
I think I have to wear tights, right? Like I have to wear tights. Yeah.
On the website of the place I found.
We're a button down, so and only button it halfway, so some things can be visible at times.
Let it hang loose.
Yeah, there you go.
On the website of the studio that I found to take his class is a picture of a gentleman in a flat out thong. And I'm just saying, Mario, you look a lot like that guy, man. You might just be able to pull that off, pal.
I'm on the full swing of like, this could give me a 6-pack.
I told Lonzo we're going to end up having you meet your damn wife through this thing. Mario Herron from the BetQL Network joins us every Friday to talk NBA ball and, of course, the EP of Bet for the Cycle every Saturday on the BetQL Network. We'll be live tomorrow to do it again, and you lucky SOB. LeBron needed one more point. I cannot. That's twice now. Furious.
He's becoming my GOAT very quickly.
See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow, buddy.
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
Mario Herron for the BetQL Network. Hatin Ass Mario. We're back after this to wrap up Hour 3 of the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Nice work, broski.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, man. I will clip this after the show and send it over to you.
Awesome. Do you want to go over it? I'm free on Monday.
We can do that. Or if you want to jump in, I don't know what you do before the stream tomorrow, but if you want to jump in early, we can do it, or we can do it Monday after the show.
Actually, yeah, I can do that tomorrow morning. I'll send you a link.
I can probably get in about a half hour early.
Okay, sounds good.
Killer. All right, bud. Thanks.
Well, peace.
See ya.
Thank you, Rob.
That's a good kid. He tries his best.
Did you read Stevens?
I don't know off the top of my head. It's been a long time since I studied a periodic table.
I looked it up for you. It's 57.
Really? It is. Chemical element with symbol La and atomic number 57 classified.
He doesn't get it. It's okay.
It's a solid at room temperature. You know what? I love chemistry and concept. I hated it as a student because it was so much math, and I suck at math. If I was good at math, I would have been a scientist.
Stephen just made that up so we could the number 57, and he's so taken by the science, he didn't get it. He did not get it.
Stephen, that was real good work. Real good work.
And Wesley, that is how you correctly say that, by the way.
Unbelievable, Stephen. Big God.
I even told him, and he still didn't get that he got. Although now he left the room. We'll see if he makes it back in on time.
$57. You jerk.
I don't know, man. You're not really the boot barn kind of guy here.
A little early for a tall boy. It's my gas station didn't have my big monsters today, so I had to get this little, makes me feel like Andre the Giant size can. Ever seen the picture of Andre the Giant holding a beer can?
That looks like something Mark Ryan would drink.
I have comments. I will keep them to myself.
I heard all the White Claw jokes when he first came. Isn't that the kind of can?
For the record, I like a White
Isn't
Claw.
that the kind of can that's in?
It's just, yeah, it is. It's the same size.
Okay,
right.
I just,
Wrapping up the third hour of the Rob Brown Show right here and only on the Fan Upstate. Give me a follow on Twitter X because I will be pending catastrophe. I will be at the well this afternoon at noon when the South Carolina Lady Gamecocks take on the Texas A&M Aggies in the SEC Women's Championship game. When I got here back in March of 2020, and I found out this tournament got played here, I got very, very excited. In fact, Zoe, the SEC Women's Conference Championship was the last sporting event that I attended in person before the COVID shutdown.
I was gonna say, when you got here and then the world shut down.
Yeah. I got here February 28th and March 1st started. Now I'd done the show from Florida the week before that. But February 28th, I got here, and March 1st was my first show in this chair in this studio. Actually, I think it is the same chair, but in this chair in the studio. And then, like, the next week was the SEC Women's Tournament, and that was the first and last sporting event I got to go to. I did a Carolina Furman baseball game at Fluor Field. The day I got here, there was a game between Carolina and it was either the day or the day after. Carolina Furman baseball game at Fluor, which like halfway through that game. In fact, I met Michael Stathakis for the first time at that game. But that was the first event. Fell in love, knew I was going to love this area. Hit the SEC Women's Tournament, I think the next week, and then everything stopped, and it was bad. It was just bad. But it was a heck of a send-off, and so I look forward to it. Last year I did not get to go to the tournament championship. This year it is back in my life, and I'm very excited about it.
The thing I remember most about that time was we were at a live remote, and you and I ate a pizza in front of Mark Ryan.
Sure did. Sure did.
He can't eat that. It's kind of mean.
Hilariously.
It's really mean. He can't eat regular dough, so he couldn't eat the pizza. So we ate it right in front of him. He was most appreciative.
For the record, at the time I thought Lonzo was just offering me a slice of pizza. I didn't know that there was nefarious motive behind it.
Okay. All right.
I just thought we were sharing a piece of pizza.
All right. So
me and the executive producer of the channel. I'm like, oh, great. Socializing with the big dog on the station. Did not know that it was an obvious troll at the time.
Okay.
I respect
the fact that you glanced toward him a couple of times and saw him being uncomfortable.
I didn't know. I didn't know. All right.
I'm not evil like that. I'm not.
Also, coincidentally enough, that was also the day I met my did not know at the time fiance.
Yeah, I'm aware of that
Yeah.
because she asked for my phone number so she could text me about you.
Well, clearly it was all good things.
It was.
Clearly it was all good things.
She was also making fun of the fact that we were eating a pizza in front of someone who
Also, still did not know that. Still did not know that. All right, so follow me on Twitter at the Rob Brown Show or Instagram if you're a grammer. I will likely, if not go live from the game, will likely be at least putting some stuff up on the social from the well today, and we'll see how long I stick around for. And then again, theoretically, we'll be there Sunday afternoon for the championship game as well.
How can you theoretically be somewhere?
It is less in theory. I plan on being there, but there are so many hours between here and Sunday afternoon where any number of things could go wrong. And also, I'm playing golf Sunday morning, and I end my round of
you've
golf.
mentioned that many times, so people know you're going to golf.
I end my round of golf one of three ways: mad, drunk, or a combination of the two. We'll see how I play.
I was going to say it's probably both. Hey, do you throw your clubs like you do your hat when you
No,
don't bowl well?
Because they're expensive as so no.
Is it bad form to break someone else's clubs?
Yes, very. Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is. It
What if you know you
it
can
very
take them?
is. No, it's just bad form because, again, golf clubs are expensive. You know what I am very excited about? You know what I get to do today for the first time is when I leave here, your boy's heading down to the Costco because he's a cost bro, because that's my gas station now. And also, I get to buy my first box of Kirkland brand golf balls to bring to the course on Sunday.
The ones that you said are really cheap that you can buy at Costco.
But they are the same make and model as the very expensive
I
golf
did.
balls. They're just Kirkland brand.
By the way, I didn't.
Pumps.
I wasn't saying they are a bad golf ball. It's just that you can get them cheaper. Well, we'll find out. Because if they're not, you can blame the golf ball.
Joey B said, I'll be thinking of you when I'm playing Tobacco Road on Sunday morning. Yeah, Joey B, you get to play an iconic golf course, but I get to go to Costco and buy Costco balls. Who's winning for real?
Can you call it that anymore? Tobacco Road? That's kind of, I mean, that's kind of looked down upon anything tobacco. So, I mean, can you really? I don't know.
No one looks down on anything tobacco. What you said, maybe don't market it with cartoon camels. That's all.
Well, okay, if you say so.
Said Courtney making fun of someone? Never. Yeah, so he knows my fiance. All right, we got to take a break before I get in trouble. I'm Rob Brown. This is Lonzo with a sports flash.
He's already in trouble. That's
Always.
not, I mean, the SEC women's tournament that Rob just talked about is taking place at the Bon Secours Wellness Arena. And yesterday, Texas A&M knocked off Mississippi State 72-56. Kentucky fell to Tennessee 76-62. Auburn knocked off Arkansas 67-48. And Florida put down Vanderbilt 62-59. South Carolina makes their tournament debut today at noon against A&M with Alabama versus Tennessee, LSU versus Auburn, and Ole Miss versus Florida following. Falcons fans are paying very close attention to the quarterback market. A week ago, Justin Fields was the odds-on favorite to be Atlanta's new quarterback, but last night, betonline.com issued new odds listing Fields as a 3-1 favorite to be starting in Minnesota. Tune in tomorrow night at 8 p.m. as the Furman men's basketball team takes on Western Carolina in the first round of the Southern Conference Tournament, right here on your home for Paladins football and basketball, the Fan, Upstate. You're right, Joe. I just wanted to get a look before he walked out of the room. Mean looks make me feel comfortable. I've said it many times. That's the only way I got through most of the Charlotte Flair interview is I made her mad and she gave me mean looks the entire time. And then I felt all right. Then she stopped giving me mean looks and I had no idea what to say. That's not it, Zach. I love aggravating everyone. I mean, there's no one. Well, I tell you what, if I don't know you and I don't, we'll say like you, I probably don't do that at all. But I am that annoying friend or coworker. I am. Without a doubt, I'm the annoying guy that you're like, come on, dude, that's enough. But I can't help it because every time I open my smart mouth, I prove my mom wrong when she said your smart mouth will never get you anywhere. And it got me to Greenville, South Carolina, and many, a few more South Carolina Broadcaster Association Star Awards.
Got a few more to go.
I put in our wish list as far as interviews go for South Carolina Comic-Con, and Dan Housen is at the top of the list.
Yes,
so
indeed.
We'll see what happens.
And you get unlimited 5G data, $25 a line for 4 lines on the unlimited plan, at an amazing price.
I gotta say, Shane, I don't think that's ever going to get old for me.
You guys are jerks.
Additional terms apply. See website for data management practices.
Now, during Staples Print Pig Sale, get $20 off your print purchase of $100 or more, $50 off your print purchase of $200 or more, and $100 off your print purchase of $300 or more. So the more you print at Staples, the more you save. To demonstrate, print at Staples, you save. But if you print at Staples, you save. See how that works? Staples Print Pig Sale.
You know, there are some Fridays that don't feel like Fridays, but today feels like a Friday.
On your radio at 97.7 FM in Greenville, 97.1 FM in Spartanburg.
You need more?
Listen on your phone. Download the Odyssey app and search The Fan Upstate.
There's a whole lot more to know about sound if you really want to go into the subject.
Your smart speaker. Just say, play The Fan Upstate. On your HD radio at WFBC HD3. There's just one more thing. And on your computer at
TheFanUpstate.com.
The Fan
Upstate.
WYRD Greenville.
WORD Spartanburg.
WFBC HD3 Greenville. The official sports voice of you, the Upstate Fan. CBS Sports Radio. Always live from the Free Odyssey app.
Man, check this out.
You're on official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being win.
Yeah. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show. Rob only.
Fan Upstate.
Texter said, do you know the point total difference added together for the SEC women's tournament game? 5 less than Mike Tyson's age. Steven asked earlier in the show, said, my daughter asked me what the atomic number of lanthanum is. I said, I don't know. Let me ask Rob. Lonzo looked it up. Lonzo, what is it?
That would be 57, Rob.
I hate my listeners sometimes. Not all the time. I do have to say, and I mean this sincerely, what an absolute incredible stretch for a joke from Steven on that. That's exceptionally well done. And then Shane out here doing research and math to make a 57 joke. You guys are spectacular. And we talked about it yesterday on the show. We got he's 57 trending on the internet. That's how influential we are.
By the way, don't pass over the fact that Shane keeps bringing up courage. You're just trying to pretend like that never happened.
And the courage jokes. I love this show so much, especially on Fridays, because it's just random. It just is what it is. All right. 844-326-3663 is the number to the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone if you want to jump on the air. The text line is open at 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. We will read those on the air today.
This song just popped in my head. I get off on 57 Chevy.
Of course. Of course. Hey, baseball. I'm going to, you know what?
Wait.
You all did it to me. I'm going to do it to you. Let's talk about baseball. It's on you, Lonzo. It's on you. Divisional winners odds are out right now to win the divisions across Major League Baseball. This may shock you. The Atlanta Braves are your current odds-on favorites to win the NL East at minus 250. Minus 250. I like that. I like that a lot. The only team that's even close to that, the LA Dodgers, who are also minus 250. Nobody else is even negative money to win their division. Do you understand what kind of team you've got to put together to end up at 2.5 to 1 to win your division? Outright win your division. But those aren't the numbers that blew my mind a little bit. Some of the numbers that blew my mind were the MLB playoff odds to make the playoffs, just to make the playoffs. That is 3 division winners plus 2 wild cards out of both leagues. 5 from both sides going to the playoffs. The Atlanta Braves minus 3,000 to make the playoffs. You've got to put a lot of money down just to win a little money for the Braves to go to the playoffs. That's not really all that shocking. There are some other teams that are very good, little less odds. The Diamondbacks minus 115, the Orioles minus 225. These numbers aren't surprising. Let me give you a couple that are. By the way, the Dodgers, the Braves are minus 3,000. The Dodgers minus 10,000 to go to the playoffs. That's dumb, dude. That's $100 to you got to bet $100 to win $1 that the Dodgers make the playoffs. For the record, I love the Braves' chances this year against the Dodgers. I don't like them as much next year. And I will acknowledge that, and I have said this before, the biggest problem that Atlanta's going to have with the Dodgers is not the regular season. I think the Atlanta Braves are going to have the highest win total of any Major League Baseball team during the regular season. I've been asked a bunch of times on this show and others if I like the Braves over-under win total of 101.5 or if I like the Dodgers win total of 103.5. And the answer is I like Atlanta's. And I like Atlanta's because they have a quiet, good rotation. We did this on the show 2 weeks ago on Bet for the Cycle, me and Cody Decker, former Major League Baseball player and co-host of that show with me. We went 1 through 9 down the lineup, Braves versus Dodgers. And when it got brought up, Deck was like, oh, the Dodgers have the best lineup in baseball. I Lee Corso'd him and said, whoa. Not so fast, my friend. I think it's the Braves. And I'm not saying that as a homer, as I am accused of being so very frequently. I said, I honestly think they have the best lineup in baseball. Deck said, you're crazy. We went 1 through 9. We got done going 1 through 9. And he was like, okay, you might actually have a point on this. Because 1 through 5, they're pretty even. You got a smattering of all-stars between the two. But I think he was looking at it and he's like, okay, he's got Freddie Freeman at first base. As if Matt Olson didn't have identical numbers and, oh, by the way, lead the major leagues in home runs last year. Talked about Mookie Betts. Phenomenal up there at the top. The Braves have 2023 NL MVP Ronald Acuna Jr., the only member of the 40-70 club in existence. It was the bottom half of the lineup where the Braves made the difference. Now, the Dodgers make up ground because their lineup out of the starting rotation is going to be ridiculous. And I'm interested in seeing how that plays out because they're going to have some guys on the IL to start the season that are names, that are dudes that you need to be ready for a playoff run. So I do think the Dodgers have the potential because of their pitching to be a better playoff team than the Braves are. But it's the Major League Baseball playoffs. The Arizona Diamondbacks skunked the Dodgers last year. It's all about who is hot heading into the thing. Let me get back to some of these numbers, some of these odds. We mentioned the Baltimore Orioles being minus 225. According to BetMGM, 99% of the tickets and 99% of the money are coming in on the yes bet at minus 225. There are some other numbers that I find very intriguing as well. We talked about the Atlanta Braves, just to kind of put it into perspective. The Braves are minus 3,000 to make the playoffs. 33% of the money, 33% of the tickets are coming in on the Braves to make the playoffs. 8% of the handle is coming in on the Braves. I bring this up for two reasons. Number one, because the numbers are interesting to me as a sports guy. And number two, because the numbers are interesting to me as a gambling guy. And I think there are some people that maybe don't necessarily get why this number is impressive. I mean, they pay me to do it. Absolutely. Why would the Braves have 92% of the money coming in on them to not make the playoffs? Why would the Braves have over 2/3 of tickets coming in, have them slated to not make the playoffs? It's just playing the numbers. The odds are the Braves are winning the division and going to the playoffs. But what if they don't? 130-1 if the Braves don't make the playoffs, plus 1,300. You put $100 down, you're getting 1,300 back if they don't make the playoffs. So what happens if there's a rash of injuries? What happens if the Braves end up losing 3 starting pitchers to injury? What happens if they get backdoored, say, by the Philadelphia Phillies, who steal the show and steal the division? And what happens if you have the Dodgers eat up a divisional crown? You have the winners of the awful NL Central eat up a spot. And then you've got maybe a breakout team somewhere else. And all of a sudden the Braves only win 97 games. They're 3 or 4 games below the over-under mark. And they don't get in. Well, that's just playing a value bet, playing a number. Sometimes you throw a couple of dollars at a very unlikely outcome because you make all those dollars back times a lot if that unlikely outcome happens. And it's sports. Why do we watch sports? Specifically, why do we watch sports that our team is not directly involved in, included in? Because we are always watching for that unlikely thing. Why do we like March Madness so much? Upsets and buzzer beaters, right? That's what we're watching for. Upsets and buzzer beaters. Most people that watch March Madness aren't watching for great basketball. You hopefully get it.
No, there are a lot of people who watch it to win their pool and
sure,
make some money.
Which for most people is an unlikely outcome that you win the bracket. It's hard to win brackets, man. It's hard to win the bracket. So
it's not hard to win your office bracket.
Dude, I once lost to my station traffic manager, Kelly, who was a doll. I loved her. I lost to my station traffic manager who selected her bracket, Lonzo, based on the attractiveness of head coaches, and she beat me.
That's why I was going to say it's not hard to win. You just got to pick who has the most, blue uniforms, something like that. Because knowers of ball don't always win when it comes to this tournament.
That makes it okay. It's tough for me to win brackets.
That's
because I know ball too much.
That's what I just said.
There's too much knowing ball.
You're going to overthink it, and there is some luck to it. There is some who's playing the best on that day.
She won the bracket based on the way, like the things she would do to the head coaches. That's how she won a bracket. That's not some luck. That's pure luck.
All right, your best bet is just
got lucky.
It's well done. The best bet is just to go chalk on the whole thing. I mean, why not?
So, 2/3 of the bets against Atlanta.
In the second round, in the 12th round, I got that because this. If you look at the odds, you look at the math. There's always this number. A 7 always beats a 12 right here, and it's just so much thinking going into it math wise, and I just don't know how accurate that thinking is.
It's the 5-12 that there's one of every year.
I knew there was something with the 12. I was half right.
The 5-12, there's one every year. And I got some thoughts on who it might be. By the way, there's a chance South Carolina's a 5 seed going into this tournament. Now, I said last night on the BetQL network on BetMGM Tonight, a show that airs right here on this very radio station from 7 to 10 with my dear friends Ryan Horvat, Nick Ashush, and Trista Crick. They said, Rob, give us a dog. Give us a dog. Give us somebody to pay attention to that maybe isn't getting the love you think they deserve. You know who my answer was? The South Carolina Gamecocks. I said, pardon me for being a homer, broadcasting in the lovely Palmetto State, but lesson games are a thing, right? Games where you learn something about yourself, games where you take something away from that game that makes you better down the line. I go back to a couple of weeks ago. The North Carolina Tar Heels went to Atlanta, Georgia, and took on I think calling the Rambling Wreck mid would be a compliment. And yet they beat the Heels. The Heels are going to be a 1 seed. They beat the Heels. And the very next day on the show, our own Hatin Ass Mario, who was on this show just a few minutes ago, jumped on and he said, Rob, I want you to keep an eye on North Carolina. And I said, why is that, Padawan? Why should I keep an eye on North Carolina? And he said, because that was a lesson learning win or loss last night. That was a lesson learning loss. That was a loss that some teams take. They get punched in the face. They bounce back way better for it. Look, they beat Duke the next time out. They got by Clemson, but they ended the season on a 5-game win streak, including a 33-point win over Notre Dame. This weekend, they're on the road at Duke for one more. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, moneyline bet North Carolina to win that game. Lesson learning game. I think with a capital T that loss to Tennessee, at least to me, great one, that felt like a lesson learning game for South Carolina. Now, the only issue I have and the concern I have, and I would be lying to tell you I don't have it, is that I also thought that Alabama loss was a lesson learning loss for South Carolina. I also thought the Auburn beatdown was a lesson learning loss for South Carolina. And the problem that I'm having right now is that all three of those games were lost the exact same way. All three of those games were lost by South Carolina's offense not having results immediately out the gate and then changing everything. Becoming a different team. All of a sudden, we're not moving the ball around the perimeter, looking to open up and unlock the defense like we have been. All of a sudden, I got guys out here thinking they're LeBron James, trying to spend the entire game playing one-on-one. That ain't it. Never has been. So I would like to think that should change. Anyway, back to the baseball. I don't know how we segued so hard into college basketball, but here we are. Back to the gambling side of the baseball. I know, sorry. The Rockies are plus 2,500 to make the playoffs. 99% of the tickets and 99% of the money coming in on the Rockies to make the playoffs. Now, you may not know this, but the Rockies are bad at baseball. Last year, the Rockies finished last in their division with 59 wins. 59. To put that into perspective, there were multiple teams with 100-win seasons last year. They won 59. That's a bad baseball team. 99% of the handle, 99% of the tickets coming in on them to make the playoffs. How about this one? The Astros, minus 500 to make the playoffs, plus 360 to miss the playoffs. 88% of the money is coming in on Houston to miss the Houston Astros. The team that's been in the playoffs every year for what feels like 7 consecutive decades. Almost 90% of the money coming in on them to miss. Shane said, that's 2 more than Mike Tyson's age. Cool, bro. He's 57, by the way. Keegan said, my lawyers will be contacting you for compensation for the whiplash injury I suffered from going baseball to college hoops, back to baseball. Hey, it's the Rob Brown Show on a Friday. You know what you're getting yourself into.
I think I also was injured by that. So let's meet up, Keegan.
Here's my favorite number on this entire list of numbers that I am giving you for your own entertainment, and I hope at least some enjoyment. The Oakland Athletics, or as I'll be calling them this year, the friggin' Vagabonds. They are, right now, plus 2,500 make the playoffs. 99% of the tickets, 99% of the handle coming in on Oakland to make the playoffs. A team that you will notice are not Oakland anymore. They'll be playing under that moniker this year, but they don't have a stadium or a city. Barely got a fan base because most of that team's fans will probably be not watching them anymore. I hate it for Oakland. I really do. Pirates plus 500 to make the playoffs. You want to sprinkle? Now, this is why I say this one. Because there are some of these numbers. I am not in any world going to advise you to bet against the Atlanta Braves making the playoffs, the LA Dodgers making the playoffs, the A's or the Rockies to make the playoffs. Just Venmo me your money. I can waste it better than that if that's what you're looking for. There are a couple of teams I do like. I like betting Pittsburgh at 50-1 to make the playoffs. 5-1 to make the playoffs. I like betting Pittsburgh at plus 500 to make the playoffs. I'm intrigued in the Padres this year. They lose Juan Soto, who I think is going to be the reason that the Yankees are back in the AL hunt this year, because Juan Soto, I think, got ruined by San Diego last year. He's a Yankee. I'm intrigued by San Diego this year. I am intrigued if they figured out, maybe we let our locker room fracture so badly last year. Can that be fixed in a year? I might be willing to take out a flyer that the Padres do. Because if the Padres do, even without Juan Soto, they are still going to have one of the top production lineups in Major League Baseball this year. That might be worth a flyer. So anyway, just some numbers, some baseball numbers that I'm very intrigued by from our friends at BetMGM. Let's take a break. We'll come back. I got a few more things that I want to run through, and two, including a quick news note from the Charlotte Hornets. The Buzz have a new front office administrator, and all of a sudden, those two guys have some things to say about the CHA. I'll tell you what they are when we come back. Got a college football story or two to run through as well. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. Rob, Lonzo, and you. It is the Fan Upstate. You guys are the worst. You guys are the worst. You're letting Lonzo influence you, and I don't like it. Be back in 30 seconds.
Or he's going to cash in on Cody and destroy the world. So many people would be angry. And then this wonderful Scottish accent. I told you it wasn't your story.
Wrapping up the radio broadcast, it is the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate. It is Rob. It is Lonzo.
You wrapping up early, aren't you?
Well, we got half an hour left.
I mean, you know.
And then Daddy's going to watch some basketball. Can't wait.
I mean, we could stop at 9:30 and go to network and see what happens.
Probably should not do that. All right. We have talked a little Kansas City. What? We have talked a little Carolina Panthers. I'll tell you why I said Kansas City. It's for a good reason, because I've got the list of the top 25 available free agents right now. And at the top of that list is a guy I'm intrigued to see what you guys do with, and that is Chris Jones, defensive lineman, who said at the Super Bowl parade that he ain't done and he'll be back, except for, you know what else is not done? Great one, a contract.
Wow, I hate the internet because I read yesterday he signed. I guess I should have looked for more proof that he had signed.
Was it like Chief Saholic that said that?
No, that dude's in jail.
Yes. What are we doing here? Let's see. As of right now, no Chris Jones re-signing yet. I got to imagine they get it done. Chris Jones is probably the best defensive player. No, Chris Jones is the best defensive player you have.
All right. So apparently he put out a cryptic tweet that had everyone believing that it had happened, including Sports Illustrated. I thought Sports Illustrated was done, but they're active, aren't they?
I don't believe that they are shut down yet. I also
I
believe.
mean, by the way, I don't want them to go away, but I just thought they were. And now I see more Sports Illustrated stuff than I ever have.
Well, because the AI doesn't need sleep. Great one.
Well, the algorithm saw me look up a thing, and now it's popping up on my feed. You're right.
Chris Jones put out a tweet yesterday that just said KC ... And everybody thought that means he signed.
Chris Jones sent fans into a frenzy with a one emoji tweet.
Oh, did he send out an emoji?
Yes. I'm looking for the emoji. Oh, there it is. It's a picture.
It a dollar sign emoji?
No. What it is, and this is what I saw too. It's him after they won the Super Bowl, and looks like Andy on top of him with a hat celebrating.
Oh yeah, I see it now.
Yeah.
It's not an emoji, that's a picture.
Well, that's what the article said.
Well, the article's dumb.
Okay, well, that's why they're going out of business, I guess. Mean, you know.
It is, because they trusted AI, and AI doesn't know the difference between a picture and emoji.
Admittedly, I've never sent an emoji, so I don't know. I thought that was a little symbol things.
It is.
Okay.
That's why this is a picture, not an emoji.
Maybe they meant meme.
It's not even a meme.
I bet that's been memed a bunch of times.
I'm sure it has, and I'm sure it will be, but it's still a picture. Anyway, point is, that's why I said Kansas City, not to get into a riff about Chris Jones. Looking through the list of free agents. What free agents?
By the way, please sign Chris Jones. Kansas City. Come on.
Okay. I'm real glad it's Friday. And I'm real glad this show's over.
Well, not for 29 more minutes.
Remember how a minute ago you said maybe we go to network at 9:30 and see what happens? I'm on board now.
Okay.
You want to know why?
Why?
Let me read you the text I just got. It says, and I quote, Thank you, Rob and Lonzo, for a wonderful week of great content. I thoroughly enjoyed the back and forth between the two of you. The only thing I will enjoy more than the content from this week is the Jake Paul v. Tyson fight. By the way, this text has exactly 57 words in it. That's what you people are hitting me with on the show right now.
Did you count yet?
No, I'm not going to.
Did you? Come on. As a science guy, don't you want them to be accurate?
No.
And the only way is
No.
by counting it.
No, I don't need it. I'm not giving you that validation texter. Pretty sure I know who it is. Love you. Love your participation in the show. Glad you're a P1 and a daily listener. I'm not counting your text. All right? You're lucky I read it. I honestly only read it for Lonzo's enjoyment.
Well, I appreciate you thinking of me.
I'm a giver. I'm a giver, not a taker, though I am about to take the text line away from you. You sat there and crafted a multi-sentence tweet, going in and out, changing your grammar, changing your syntax, counting over and over to make sure that you ended my broadcast week with a text that ends in, this text has exactly 57 words in it.
It's amazing work. I mean, we've already seen people do research earlier on the stream. Why not the text line also? And no, Shane, I have never sent an emoji because it's one of those, I decided early on, I'm not going to do that. And I'll be the only one who doesn't do it because I'm a rebel.
Texture said Rob Brown's about to pound Bloody Marys in about 2 hours. Yeah, if I keep getting texts like that, yes, I am.
I hope not, because in 2 hours we know where you're going to be, and I don't know if that's a good idea. I'm not even sure they serve those there, but what do I know?
The good news is, so I'm going for this game. I'm going on a ticket, right? I'm going on a ticket for this game. I'm not going to sit sideline for this one. And
you should have said that you decided to research by being amongst the fans for this game, because you want to see what the real people are like, what the real South Carolina fans are.
What do you mean? I already know. I am one of them. I'm one of the people. I am the people.
No, I said South Carolina fan.
I know. I literally live with one.
Yeah, but you just said you were one, and you said it, not me.
No, I said I'm going as a fan.
You guys heard it, right?
Let me clarify that. I'm going as a basketball fan.
Yeah, I was trying to help you clarify, because you're a person who doesn't like to take sides, and you kind of just took one.
I did not. I'm going as a basketball fan. I am also going as guy who can have a Jack and Coke during the basketball game and not have to be professional and on my best behavior.
Are you wearing the glasses?
Yeah, probably, because I need to be able to see.
Yeah, but if you wear the glasses, you'll be recognized because that's your brand.
That's okay.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
As long as I'm not there in an official station capacity, come up, say hi, have a beer with me.
You're still repping. There's not too many.
Well, yeah, I mean, I still got to go home at some point. Anyway, point is, basketball and Bloody Marys today, absolutely. Texas said, Rob, I'd love a Moscow Mule on this fine Friday morning, but I have to work. Sucks to be you, bud. Sucks to be you.
What's a Moscow Mule?
A Moscow Mule is a vodka, ginger beer, and lime juice drink, and it's delightful.
What is ginger beer?
It's
beer with ginger in it.
It's not beer. It's a soda. I don't know why they call it ginger beer.
Soda.
It's non-alcoholic, and it's
soda.
Delightful. So you add a little vodka to your ginger beer. You hit it with a little spritz of lime juice on the back end. You got a Moscow Mule. Typically is going to be served in a cold copper glass.
Why copper?
I don't know.
Does it hold the cold longer?
I don't know. I think
does the metallic taste add to the?
I don't know. I just know. I should know. Don't know. Let's see. Why does a Moscow Mule need to be in a copper cup? The cold metal insulates the temperature of the chilled ginger beer, keeping the cocktail cool and refreshing, which it absolutely is. Absolutely is. I really was going to do Panther talk here.
You're welcome. Somebody who needed to know that. It wasn't. I mean,
If you've never had a mule and you're a drinker, have a mule. They're delightful. They're absolutely delightful. All right, the free agents that are available, top 25 free agents right now, who's available and who fits where. Chris Jones is out there. He's going to be a Chief. Kirk Cousins is out there. I have told you based on the betting numbers of Justin Fields, I think Kirk Cousins is starting in Atlanta next year. And while I think Kirk Cousins can probably, with the offense you've built, probably play good enough ball to get you a divisional championship next year, 100% dependent on what the Saints do during the draft and free agency. And if Baker shows back, I was reading about the Johnny Manziel stuff earlier because I'm hooked on his time playing Canadian football. Depending on Baker and Tampa, I think Atlanta's good enough that Kirk Cousins playing in the ATL is good enough to get them an NFC South divisional title next year. It's not good enough to do anything past that. I am kind of at the point now. I mean, whoever wins this division next year, obviously they're going to enter the playoffs with the mindset of let's go win a Super Bowl, as you should. I still think whoever wins the NFC South next year is still going to be, needs to be in a mindset of building for 2025. I do not think that the NFC South divisional champion next year is winning more than one playoff game, just like the Buccaneers did this year. I just don't think they're on par with anybody else, and they are likely going to be the 4 seed going into the playoffs. So because of that, I'm willing to bet they may not win a game in the playoffs next year. You've got to be building into the future. Kirk Cousins is not the quarterback of your future, okay? He's not. My man's 35. He'll be 36 when we kick off the season. He is not the QBF for Atlanta. And the problem is you're in a unique position right now that you can go all in on QBF. And I don't know next year. I don't know that there's a QBF out there for Atlanta next year. And keep in mind, you're drafting 8 right now. And if you're drafting 8 right now, you've got a very good chance. We talked about this earlier. If Atlanta's going to go to 3, if you want a quarterback in this draft that's not J.J. McCarthy, you've got to either be 8 or you've got to take the gamble on Michael Penix Jr. and probably be, I would guess, no further down than like 12, 13. If you're in Atlanta, if you are Atlanta, you've got a very unique position right now because at 8, you don't have to move anywhere and you can get Michael Penix Jr. or J.J. McCarthy. But at 8, of the teams who need a quarterback, you are the team in the best position to make a trade to New England to give them some more assets because not only do they get the same assets elsewhere, but they only have to go back to 8. A lot of guys there. And they can still, if they trust in McCarthy, and doesn't J.J. McCarthy feel like a Patriots quarterback? Kind of boring, kind of methodical, kind of plotting. I don't know if Gerard Mayo's offense is going to be the same way it was under Hoodie.
He does appear to be a system quarterback.
Doesn't he feel like a New England quarterback?
System quarterback, for sure.
So if they get hooked on J.J. and they think J.J.'s the right guy for the job, Atlanta can go to 3. The only question you're going to have at that spot if you go to 3 is which of the big 3 is left for you at 3? Because one's going quarterback. I don't think Chicago's trading out. I think Justin Fields is gone. And going back to where I started this segment, that is because we are starting to see some of the sports books this morning list your next starting quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings as Justin Fields. He's minus money to be Minnesota's starting quarterback next year. And if that's the case, it definitely means that Chicago's going quarterback at 1. It is absolutely surprising to nobody that the Washington Commanders are going to draft a quarterback. And if they both do that, the only question is which one is left at 3. I'm going to tell you right now, the rest of the NFL is about to make a huge mistake because they are going to hand Jaden Daniels to whoever drafts at number 3. Make it you, Atlanta. Make it you. Because if you get Kirk Cousins, what are you doing? All you're doing is kicking the can down the road a little bit. You're creating a situation where you've got to go get QBF next year. QBF ain't there next year. Who's the top quarterback coming out of the 2025 class? Shedeur Sanders, Drew Allar, Connor Wagman out of A&M. Like, those are the top three guys. Quick questions, though. You putting Shedeur Sanders up against Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May? You might. I ain't.
Maybe.
I can't do it. I like Shedeur. I'm going to be pulling for Colorado next year, just like I did this year, because of the sheer chaos and shenanigans that will ensue if Shedeur and the boys at Colorado can make a run next year. I think it'd be a lot of fun to watch. But if you're asking me if Shedeur Sanders is ready to play football with Jaden Daniels, the answer is no. The answer is no. Drew Allar, like the guy a lot. I don't think he's there. I don't think he's that guy yet. So if you're Atlanta, why would you kick your decision to go QBF right now with some real talent at the 1, 2, 3 spot down the line for Kirk Cousins? A guy that, again, as a fellow cost bro, I like a lot, but he ain't that guy. So who else is out there that might fit with Carolina? There are some offensive line names. That's the direction I'm going. But I would not be opposed to a wide receiver if there's one name. There's one name at the wide receiver spot. I can make an argument for two, but there's one name, and that's Marquise Hollywood Brown. That's the only guy. If you're going to address, Lonzo's suggestion was draft offensive line, free agent wide receivers. There's two names on the list, Marquise Brown and Calvin Ridley.
Just keep in mind, you got 6 picks. You're not going to go all offensive line. So there's going to be some receivers in there that you can grab.
I don't disagree, but like the further I get down the line towards those back end picks, you get away from an elite class of wide receiver. If I asked you which position produced more successful players that were drafted after the 4th round, offensive line or wide receiver, what you think the answer is? Because I'm going offensive line. More successful offensive linemen get drafted after the 4th round than wide receivers do.
I would go with defensive players, but I know that wasn't part of the question. I guess offensive line.
Yeah. So go get an elite top-notch wide receiver while they're available at 33, because this year, and maybe this year only, they will be available at 33. Go get one of those guys at 33, and we'll see what happens. I will accept you going a different direction for Marquise Brown or for Calvin Ridley. Marquise Brown's played 5 years. He's had one 1,000-yard season, but he has been in some run-first offenses. He has been the 2 wide receiver to some very good ones. A lot of ability. He is only 27. You're taking a gamble on his health, on his durability. It's a gamble I'm willing to make. And then there's Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley, before he got busted gambling and had to sit out for some time, was elite. Was top-notch talent. He played in 2021 in Atlanta for 5 games. He had the 2022 suspension. He was up and down last year with the Jaguars, but the Jaguars were an up-and-down team last year. 29 years old, you're getting Calvin Ridley cheap, which is the best argument I've got for that guy right now, because he has shown in the past flashes of elite, and you're going to get him for just over vet minimum, which is worth the gamble for me. All right, so there you go. There's some thoughts on the Panthers. Let's take a break. We'll come back and wrap up the week on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
Sounded uncertain there. Like, what are you doing? I don't know.
I don't know what I'm doing. That should be clear to everyone by now.
Me neither, but somehow I'm still here.
Somehow I make it. Yes, QBF is QB future. I don't know if I said that out loud or not, but that's exactly what it means. I know it's a term that no one else uses but me, but I like it.
Will be at the SoCon tournament this weekend in Asheville, North Carolina. Paladins will play on Saturday against Western Carolina, while the Terriers will meet the Chattanooga Mocs. Download the Odyssey app
The
and
Mocs.
search The Fan Upstate and listen anywhere on your phone.
The
I'm
Mocs.
Tony Vizuri, and that's your Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on it. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million
Maybe a little bit porky.
insurance may only cost you about $200.
I'm a little bit porky.
Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou, 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't.
Should I do my work first, or should I immediately go outside and see if I can find that branch? Because it looks like it's going to rain.
Lonzo hit half of Lawrence County on the way.
And then try. Yeah, and I thought the thing would be gone by the time I got here, and it's not. There's some guy walking across the parking lot this morning, which is also a little weird at that time of day, and looked like it scared him to death, the sound it was making. So it's like putting playing cards in the spokes of your tires as of bicycle tires. That's the kind of sound it's making, but it's a car.
But it's a car.
And I could barely fit my arms beneath the car. So it's, I mean. We ride pretty low, yo. And then there's the other thing. If I pull a branch out and it's a pretty big branch, where do I put it?
Over there. In the woods.
There's no woods over there.
Yeah, there is. There's a tree line right there.
That's not woods.
That's woods.
I guess I could take it back.
That's woods if you never.
Oh, wait a minute. I'll take it back and throw it at the geese. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll say I was returning it to its natural habitat. What if it's not a branch, though?
It's a whole tree.
Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on Auto Trader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro, cars like the ones in the gym parking lot are for sale on Auto Trader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars.
I might have to go ask engineering if they have something on the pole with a grabby thing on the end of it.
Just get on the ground and pull it out, man.
I'm going to, if I can see it. I'm more worried about finding it. At a cursory glance this morning, but that guy was walking across the parking lot, and that's weird, so I'm getting in the building.
Somebody just texted me the number 57 times.
Gee, I wonder who that was. Probably someone who was concerned that they might get kicked off if they did it.
Unreal.
And ask me on the stream for permission, which I did not give. I did not. Like, you need my permission to do anything, but I did not give it. All right. Time to ask Rob what is Xing, and he will tell us why. The first thing that's Xing is Akira Toriyama.
So I am unfamiliar with who this is, but from what I understand, they are someone who is big in
You're not unfamiliar.
Comic book / manga world.
The creator of Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball Z, video games, Chrono Trigger, some things like that. But yeah, he was the creator of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, and
Dragon Ball Z was way big.
The reintroduction of anime, the thing that made anime so big was Dragon Ball Z showing up on Toonami when Toonami showed up, which they put at the perfect time on Cartoon Network when kids were getting home from school, and it started an anime craze. I think you got to give Akira Toriyama and Dragon Ball Z credit for starting that craze that a lot of kids got into.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, and so sad day, died at 68. The next thing that's Xing is the Mexican cartel.
I am gonna assume, as like everything is, that these things are all trending due to the State of the Union address delivered by President Biden last night. No.
All right, the Mexican cartel, according to many different things on the internet, so it's got to be true.
Yep.
Are at a ceasefire right now because of the death of Akira Toriyama.
Incredible.
Dragon Ball Z really big in Mexico. All right, the next thing that's Xing is Grayson Allen.
For the record, Grayson Allen,
You little weirdo.
I can't stand you. I can't stand your face. I can't stand your game. You can shoot the lights out of the place. I can't stand anything about Grayson Allen.
I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
Wait
He's
a
very
minute.
good at basketball.
Wait a minute. Your loins aren't tingling?
He's
You're
very
not
good
playing.
at basketball.
You're not
Not about
playing,
Grayson Allen,
you're not
then,
playing that one? All right. So Grayson Allen yesterday hit 7 threes in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Which was a record for his team.
The other night they were playing and they were in a hole like 14, 15 points. He went 5 for 5 in the fourth quarter to start the quarter. 5 for 5. The entire social media world started being like, oh, Grayson Allen's back. Grayson Allen.
Say hello to the back.
And then he went like 0 for 7 the rest of the way, and I loved it.
Everyone hates the guy, and I understand why, but the fact that how long has he been in the NBA?
Grayson Allen?
He's been in the NBA
long.
for a while, and who thought he would make it with his style of play from college with the tripping and all that kind of stuff?
Me, because they weren't gonna boot him for it because listen, you gotta have dudes that people tune in to hate. By the way, he's been in the league 6 seasons so far.
Can you believe he's been in the league that long?
It feels like 40.
Okay.
It feels like 57 seasons.
All right. It does, doesn't it? Still hitting 7 threes in the first quarter. That's pretty good, Rob.
Yeah, he's good at basketball.
If Caitlin Clark did that, you'd be going nuts. But because
Caitlin
Grayson
Clark
Allen did
doesn't
it.
Suck as a person.
Yeah, well,
Fish grease, bro.
I don't know Grayson Allen. He may not suck
You've
as a person.
seen him play.
Yeah,
He's
you know,
a cheap
in the
shot.
heat of battle, so is Ric Flair. But you love Ric Flair, dirtiest player in the game. I mean, come on. All right, and the last thing that is Xing for us this week is Sean O'Malley.
Sugar Sean getting set to have a bit again. And Mario, I was very happy about it. Mario jumped on earlier. He said, "Are you guys pumped about this card?" It's the best UFC card we have gotten, Lonzo, in how long?
In a while. And it's a shame there are no big time heavyweights. Like Stipe versus John Jones on this card, which would just make it almost perfect.
I do like some heavyweight stuff. This card's good. This card's good. And honestly, even if you're not a big boxing guy, take it from somebody who is. The card today, before the Francis Ngannou Anthony Joshua fight, it's a good card too. The number 2 heavyweight in the game, well, I should say number 3 heavyweight in the game right now is on the undercard. Zhilei Zhang. Watch that guy fight. A lot of fun. Texture said, Rob, don't let Grayson Allen trip you up. Texas said, do you know why 5 is afraid of 7? Because Mike Tyson 8, not okay. You guys are getting silly. Stop it.
It's okay. It's Friday.
Oh, look at that. The show's over. The week's over. Thankfully. Have a lovely weekend. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. If you see me at the SEC Women's Tournament Games, come say hi. Have a great one for Lonzo. I'm Rob. This was the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Later, yeah.
You come see him at the game, just shake his hand and say 57.
Do not say 57.
Shake his hand and say 57 because hand hugs.
Hand hugs. I like a good hand hug.
Yeah, but you know what's better than a good hand
A
hug?
real hug.
57 hand
Hug
hug.
life. That's it for us, kids. I got to go. I got basketball to watch. Thanks for hanging out. You're all spectacular people. Have a great weekend, and don't say 57 to me. Goodbye.